Chapter 1341. Look, sometimes he might not be able to see anything. After all, a person's naked eye was limited. If he wanted to see something substantial, he would need to rely on other methods. Hearing Su Lilua's words, Su Yun became interested. He looked at the colorful enchantments outside, thought for a moment, then said, Kai Tian, since Luluo has said it like that, then, do you have the confidence to let me test these enchantments? Kai Tian was also surprised, but since Su Yun had already said it like that, how could he dare to retreat? He immediately cupped his fists and said, True gold is not afraid of fire. Since Master is interested, why not give it a try? All right. Su Yun did not waste any time and immediately walked out. The immortals who were busy looked over, none of them knowing what was going on. Kai Tian waved his hand, telling the people around the enchantment to retreat. Everyone stood inside the enchantment and watched. Su Yun stood alone outside the enchantment, holding onto his sword with one hand. Big brother, if there is a day when we meet an expert from the immortal court, and this enchantment is extremely weak, then our lives will be in danger. Therefore, in this test, you must use your full strength. You must not be the slightest bit lenient. Su Luluo shouted. Su Yun nodded, his face serious. Hearing that, the others immediately understood Su Yun's intentions. In an instant, everyone ran over and watched the scene with their eyes wide open. As the highest leader of these few forces, Su Yun's strength was naturally unquestionable, and these enchantments were all new enchantments developed from the blueprints provided by the few immortal sections. They cost Su Yun a large amount of materials, and were even mixed with a batch of high-quality materials. In order to strengthen the toughness of the defensive enchantment, Kai Tian used his own immortal power as an energy source and poured it in, repeatedly charging it for 5 to 6 days, until the interior could no longer withstand any more energy. Kai Tian was confident in its hardness, but he understood how terrifying Su Yun's strength was. It would be a lie to say that he wasn't worried. Su Yun slowly raised the dual moon sword in his hands. The cold sword edge was like a cold moon, shining on the countless immortals. Everyone's eyes were wide open, staring at the sword edge in a daze, as though their heartstrings were being tugged at by him. Finally, Su Yun's arm shook, and the dual moon sword that he had raised high suddenly fell. The cold chi on the edge of the sword instantly exploded, with an incomparably astonishing aura. A terrifying and peerless sword chi rubbed against the air, and when the sword chi left the sword body, all the space around Su Yun seemed to have been set off by a shocking wave. It shook incessantly, and through the barrier, the people inside could feel the double pressure that the sword chi brought to their bodies and minds. Kai Tian was standing not far away from the barrier. As he stared at the swift and graceful sword chi, his heart seemed to be beating wildly along with the sword chi. Finally, bang! The sword chi fiercely smashed into the barrier, causing a violent explosion. The sword chi was like a basin of water falling on the ground, directly turning into fragments that sputtered in all directions like a flower. The barrier also suffered a shocking blow and began to shake. The aura of the barrier also began to leak out as it was torn apart by the sword chi. Su Yun stared at the barrier. Kai Tian also stared at the barrier. Everyone at the scene held their breaths as they stared at the colorful place. Everyone's breathing seemed to have stopped at this moment. Hacha! At this moment, a crisp sound rang out. A crack that was several zhang long appeared on the first barrier. The crack was sinister, and it was a ghastly sight to behold. But as soon as the crack appeared, Su Yun's terrifying sword chi disappeared without a trace. His attack had only torn apart the first barrier, and had yet to destroy it. Behind this barrier, there were still over 70 barriers standing in great numbers. Kai Tian did not know if this was qualified or not. He looked at Su Yun with sparkling eyes, and did not know what Su Yun was thinking. It's not bad. At this moment, Su Yun, who had been staring at the barrier, suddenly spoke. As soon as these words were said, Kai Tian was confused. This barrier is neither strong nor weak. It can still resist. But if it meets the thousands of troops of the immortal court, those immortal techniques will be like raindrops. 70 or so might seem like a lot, but I estimate that it can only resist for half an incense stick of time or less. However, Kai Tian, you have to think about this. Ordinary immortal sects cannot contend against the immortal court. They are just dealing with some cats and dogs. Even if they provoke the other immortal sects and get attacked, it is only against those opponents who are on par with them. But we are different. Our opponent is the immortal court, a superpower that has dominated the immortal world for countless years. This kind of barrier is far from enough. You still need to strengthen it. Continuously strengthen it. If you can't strengthen it any further, use quantity to make up for it. Su Yin slowly flew over and said to Kai Tian. Only then did Kai Tian regain his senses. Hearing Su Yun's words, he immediately cupped his fists and said, "Yes, my lord. Don't worry about money. I will have all the immortal sects support you. It won't be a problem for you to build as much as you need. If that's the case, thank you, my lord." Kai Tian heaved a sigh of relief. If he had money, then it would naturally be easy to get things done. In fact, whether it was to build a barrier or a base, the most important thing was still money. Some of the books left behind by a few immortal sects could be considered rare items. Kai Tian, I will leave the matter of building this base to you, and I hope that you will not stop here. You will never be able to satisfy my requirements, so I hope that you can continue to improve and advance. I hope that the next time you really face the army of the immortal court, the level of defense of this barrier will bring me some surprises. As Su Yun spoke, he walked inside. Kai Tian looked at Su Yun's departing figure, his face revealing a trace of heaviness. He knew that Su Yun had high expectations of him, and these enchantments could not be considered a success, nor could they be considered a failure, or perhaps in Su Yun's eyes, they were still incomplete. After staying in the encampment for a period of time, Su Yun had a better understanding of the place. This encampment covered an extremely large area, about 200,000 square kilometers, but from the looks of it, there seemed to be a trend of expansion. However, there was no need to make it too big, or else it would be easy to be exposed. Su Yun informed Kai Tian to finish the left and right enchantments earlier. The tall buildings in the encampment were not decorations. They all had a purpose. Since this place was set up as encampment, then the basic facilities of encampment naturally could not be lacking. The defense system and teleportation system also had to be perfected, and the most important thing was the resource system. Currently, the resources of this encampment were all supplied by a few immortal sects, and every day, a large number of disciples would be sent to transport them, which was extremely complicated, but Kai Tian had already ordered people to start constructing the teleportation formations from the encampment to the Dali Ling Long Palace, Immortal Seeking Sect, and the Eight Harmonies Sect. As long as the formation was completed, they could use the formation to teleport resources. And what interested Su Yun the most was the plan that Kai Tian and Xing Bai had jointly proposed regarding the creation of the mechanical robe. In Xing Bai's Xiao Yao Palace, there was a blueprint for the forging of the sect's magical tools. Among them, the most powerful one was the Xiao Yao Divine Cannon. It was said that its power was not inferior to the permanent Yang Divine Arrow. However, the forging process of the Xiao Yao Divine Cannon was very complicated, and the materials needed were especially complicated. It was not difficult to gather all of them, and the forging process was also very time-consuming. It would take at least 10 years of effort, and the expenditure of money and manpower during this period was also abnormally large. Hearing that, Su Yun was extremely interested. Although the unfettered God Cannon was extremely complicated, when he heard that its power was comparable to the eternal Yang God Arrow, he became spirited and strongly requested Xing Bai and Kai Tian to forge it. Of course, there was no need to be too anxious. Right now, the resources were rather tight, and the unfettered God Cannon could be started after the encampment was completed. Octagon Aniseed and the rest arrived at the secret encampment one after another. After spending about 10 days, all the Devil Cultivator, Underworld Dweller, and the people of Hidden Dragon Hall had entered the encampment. The entire encampment was no longer as spacious as when Su Yun first arrived, but was bustling with noise and excitement. Naturally, Su Yun would not care about these things. At the moment, he was more concerned about the movements of the Immortal Court. When the Immortal Court found out that the Dark Sect had been wiped out, it caused an uproar. The higher-ups of the Immortal Court were furious, and after the news spread like wildfire, the people of the Immortal Court were also panicking. However, when they found out about this, it was actually 5 days later, which was out of Su Yun's expectations. Su Yun had thought that the Immortal Court would send a large number of experts to investigate this matter, but he was wrong. The Immortal Court did not send too many people. They only sent a group of 10,000 people to the surroundings of the Dark Sect, thinking that they were stationed there, but the Immortal Court ordered these people to directly destroy the Dark Sect, completely cutting off the passage to the true Devil Realm. Hearing about this, Su Yun was certain that the current Immortal Court did not have much power to care about other matters. Otherwise, they would not have given up on this passage to the true Devil Realm. At this time, the Immortal Court was already exhausted by Su Yun and did not have the time to muster up a large force for trivial matters. Furthermore, with Su Yun causing such a ruckus, the immortal world was in an uproar. More and more people stood up to oppose the Immortal Court, and more problems began to surface. The current Immortal Court was not only powerful, its position in the immortal world had also become precarious. In this period of time, Su Yun did not plan to make any more moves. He needed to stabilize the power that he had transferred from the true Devil Realm, and the current him had close to 2 million immortal troops in his hands. Among them, there were countless spirit god realm existences, numbering in the tens of thousands. The current him could easily sweep through any immortal sect, even if he faced the divine eagle race. He would not be afraid. However, at this time, the divine eagle race was not peaceful. Just as Su Yun was resting in the encampment, dozens of days later, news came from the divine eagle race. Chapter 1342. In the end, the 1,000 beyond heavens could not hold it in any longer and took action against the divine eagle race again. Maybe they had received news of the attack on the Immortal Court and thought that the Immortal Court had focused their attention on the Immortal Court, so they took action again. But this time, they were much smarter than before. This time, the experts of the 1,000 beyond heavens did not choose to attack the divine eagle race head-on, but used the method of framing them and shifted the hatred of the divine eagle race onto the sword god Ishao. Su Yun did not know what methods they used. He only knew that the 2 divine eagle race people who were on duty had suddenly disappeared, and the place where they lost contact with them had a trace of the sword god Ishao's chi. Imitating chi was not an easy task for immortals. Firstly, the immortals had to be extremely familiar with the chi that they wanted to imitate, and secondly, they had to reach that level of strength. For example, the chi of the sword god Ishao, if it was the chi of an ordinary immortal, it would be extremely simple, but the chi of the sword god Ishao was not only extremely powerful, it was also mixed with a terrifying sword intent. Therefore, the divine eagle race believed that the sword god Ishao had already started to take action against their divine eagle race, and specially mobilized a group of experts led by the patriarch to capture the sword god Ishao. Unexpectedly, when the Eagle Clan patriarch and the sword god Ishao were locked in battle, the people from the 1,000 beyond heavens started to ambush the divine eagle race and successfully took away the 9 god wind heavenly pearls. At that moment, the divine eagle race patriarch and the clan elders were frantically chasing after the person who took away the 9 god wind heavenly pearls. The identity of the 1,000 beyond heavens had already been exposed, and what awaited them was naturally the furious divine eagle race and the extremely resentful Immortal Court. To Su Yun, this was a good thing. The divine eagle race had underestimated the 1,000 beyond heavens, and the 1,000 beyond heavens had also underestimated the divine eagle race. The 1,000 beyond heavens had originally wanted to steal the 9 god wind heavenly pearls and use it to frame the Immortal Court, but unexpectedly, the divine eagle race patriarch recognized the unique 3 ultimate true chi of the 1,000 beyond heavens, causing the divine eagle race to shift their hatred. Hearing Su Liulua's report, Su Yun immediately came out of his meditation. He paced back and forth in the meeting hall a few times, and after a long time, he finally said, "Send someone 1,000 beyond heaven immediately, and keep an eye on 1,000 beyond heaven's movements." "Brother, do you plan to interfere?" Su Luluo said. "Not for now." Su Yun thought for a while, then said slowly, "Right now, The relationship between the thousand beyond heavens, the divine eagle race, and the immortal court is complicated. It would be best for us not to get involved. Furthermore, you said it before, the people who snatch the 9 divine wind heavenly pearls are all death warriors of the thousand beyond heavens. And once they are captured, they will immediately self-destruct, destroying their souls, leaving no traces behind. The reason why their identities were exposed was only because the divine eagle race recognized them through one of the thousand beyond heavens' inherited technique, the 3 ultimate true chi. In other words, he only recognized them based on his eyes, and there is no concrete evidence. I don't know if there is a reason, but in terms of strength, thousand beyond heaven is not the void god eagle race. Su Luluo said. Su Yin stared at Su Luluo. Why do you say that? Su Luluo took out a blueprint from somewhere and placed it on the ground. There was a big circle on the blueprint, and outside the circle there were a few small circles. Each circle had a name, big and small. There were close to 100 of them. Su Yin stared at the blueprint, his heart skipping a beat. In the middle of the big circle, it was marked thousand beyond heavens, and the small circle outside was marked with the names of the various immortal sections. What does this mean? Thousand beyond heavens and its subordinates. Su Luluo spoke out Su Yun's thoughts without any hesitation. So many? Su Yun opened his eyes wide. He stared at the map for a long time, then said, "The power of the thousand beyond heavens did not seem to be this big in the past, right? When did it rise to such power? Originally, most of the powers here should have been subdued by us, but we have a place that is not as good as the thousand beyond heavens, or rather, we have a huge drawback." What drawback? Our forces are too mixed, including nether, demon, and immortal. Su Luluo said seriously, "The most important thing is the nether demon. Because many immortal sects reject the nether demon, we cannot take them in for our own use, but the thousand beyond heavens can. When the immortal court is stirring up trouble and causing chaos in the immortal world, many big and small immortal sects are already feeling uneasy. They do not know when they will be targeted by the immortal court, will be charged with a groundless crime, and will be swallowed up in the end. So they urgently need a powerful force to rely on, and thus the thousand beyond heavens stood out at this time. The thousand beyond heavens originally had the immortal Chao Road, the Feather Emperor Palace, and a few other extremely famous immortal sects as their foundation, adding to the fact that it was also an incredible great immortal sect. With a long history and profound strength, it stood out in this time of turmoil. How could no one respond? As a result, in an extremely short period of time, it gathered a large number of immortal sections. Although there were many immortal sects here that only had a few thousand people, they were still a force that could not be underestimated. Otherwise, how would the thousand beyond heavens dare to provoke the primordial great clan, the divine eagle race? So that's how it is. Hearing that, Su Yun smiled. But this time, the thousand beyond heavens is not only provoking the divine eagle race, but also the immortal court. With how powerful they are, it is impossible for the immortal court to not know about it. I'm afraid that the immortal court has already started to formulate a plan to weaken the thousand beyond heavens. Su Luluo said, "Take your time and watch the show." Su Yun was not in a hurry. After discussing with Su Luluo for a while, Su Yun immediately left. The Immortal Seeking Sect was still the Immortal Seeking Sect. Su Yun's attention was still on the construction of the secret encampment. Regarding the matters of the thousand beyond heavens, he did not want to care about it for the time being, nor did he have the ability to care about it. During this period of time, Su Yun had been cultivating in his own training grounds, or accompanying Hu Qianmei. He did not need to do anything else himself. At this point, the various immortal sects and secret bases could already operate on their own. He only needed to make a crucial decision. Xiangyang used the 5-color spirit crystal that Su Yun had seized from the Flying Lion sect to create 2 gigantic mechanical immortal beasts. These 2 mechanical immortal beasts were made of immortal steel and immortal stones, and were covered with immortal beast skin. Ancient formations were carved on top of them, and with the 5-color spirit crystal as the kinetic energy, They could unleash a strength that was not weaker than the spirit god, and the strongest part of these two mechanical immortal beasts was that they could continuously release 10,000 powerful and terrifying immortal techniques. These immortal techniques were all sealed inside by the Creator and could be directly activated in battle. Most of them were area of effect immortal techniques, and once released, they would become two mobile cannons. There were a total of 1,310,000 five-color spirit crystal, and to create such a mechanical immortal beast required nearly 1,000 five-color spirit crystal. After deducting the five-color spirit crystal that was sent to the secret encampment and the few immortal sects, Suyin still had close to 700,000 in stock, and of these 700,000, Su Luluo directly took 300,000, all of which were given to Xiang Yang to continue creating such mechanical immortal beasts. This was a tedious and huge project. Basically, the people from the few immortal sects had already stopped cultivating. If they were not forging magic treasures, they were gathering resources from all over the place. The current situation in the immortal world was already a situation that could be triggered at any moment. The immortal court was no longer able to suppress the current immortal world, and once the immortal court collapsed, the entire immortal world would definitely be in chaos. At that time, the strength of an individual would become extremely insignificant, and only powerful methods would be able to protect their lives. At this time, it was meaningless to spend the golden time to increase his own cultivation a little. A few days later, a large group of experts from the Divine Eagle race arrived at the front of the Thousand Beyond Heaven's forces. As expected, under the commotion caused by the Divine Eagle race, the Thousand Beyond Heaven's sect leader, Qian Tian, came out to meet with the Divine Eagle race. And the reason was the same as Su Yun had guessed. It was to not admit that the Thousand Beyond Heaven had anything to do with the attack on the Divine Eagle race. The Divine Eagle race leader did not have any evidence, and just by relying on the three ultimate true Qi, he was indeed unable to convict the Thousand Beyond Heaven. But the Divine Eagle race, as an ancient great clan, was powerful and had a stubborn temper. Although there was no evidence, everyone knew that it was definitely done by Qian Tian, and after the discussion failed, Qian Tian and the Divine Eagle race leader broke out in a fight. The result of the fight was without any suspense. Qian Tian was defeated and retreated into the Thousand Beyond Heaven, and at the same time, close to 1,000,000 immortals surged out from the Thousand Beyond Heaven, adding on the activation of countless magic tools and enchantments. The Divine Eagle race originally wanted to force their way in, but they were outnumbered. They only had close to 100 people. How could they withstand the 10,000 times power? The Divine Eagle race leader was indeed brave, but seeing that his own clansmen were all heavily injured and surrounded, he could only helplessly retreat. However, the people of the Divine Eagle race were not stupid. After they retreated from the Thousand Beyond Heaven, they did not immediately return to the Divine Eagle race, but stationed themselves in a scattered immortal city, as though they were planning to investigate the evidence. When Su Yin heard about it, he knew that it was an opportunity, so he immediately called out to Faceless, and after exchanging a few words with Su Luluo, he rushed towards the place where the Divine Eagle race leader was stationed. The journey was extremely smooth. After rushing for 6 days, Su Yin finally arrived at the city where the Divine Eagle race was temporarily staying, Distant Wind City. The people of the Divine Eagle race were also rich and overbearing. They hated immortals to the extreme, so they specially bought a big house made of immortal rock, and then stayed inside, not allowing outsiders to enter. There was an eagleman guarding the door, and all the immortals that came and went looked at the eagleman, pointing and discussing softly. Towards the mysterious and ancient Divine Eagle race, the scattered immortals still showed a strong interest. The eagleman stood expressionlessly at the door, his two huge wings almost blocking the door. Facing the pointing of the people around him, he naturally felt extremely uncomfortable, so he simply closed his eyes and ignored them. "I am Su Yun, seeking an audience with your noble patriarch. I wonder if you can pass a message?" Just then, a voice suddenly floated out. The Divine Eagle race guarding the door was startled. He muttered in his heart, "Which blind thing came to provoke me?" He looked towards the owner of the voice, only to see two people standing in front of him. One of them was wearing an iron mask, the other was wearing a black cloak, both of them looking extremely mysterious. Chapter 1343. Who are you? The divine eagle race man asked subconsciously. I have just reported my name. I am Su Yun, and I have something to request to see your patriarch. Please pass the message. Su Yun repeated what he had said just now. Su Yun? I've never heard of him. Furthermore, how can our patriarch be someone who anyone can see just because they want to? Quickly leave. Otherwise, don't blame me for being impolite to you. The divine eagle race man snorted, his voice filled with coldness and arrogance. Faceless, who was at the side, was furious. He was about to make a move, but was stopped by Su Yun. With Faceless' strength, he could deal with a person from the divine eagle race, but if he met an expert from the eagle race, he would have to suffer a bit. However, Su Yun did not plan to form enmity with the people from the divine eagle race. He looked left and right and realized that the immortals around him were watching, so he immediately took 2 steps forward and went over. The eagle race guard looked at Su Yun vigilantly. Seeing that he did not seem to plan to make a move, he stopped in his tracks. I've come this time to bring news regarding your noble clan's treasure, the 9 divine wind heavenly pearl. If you're unwilling to inform your noble clan's patriarch, then you can treat it as if I've never come. After all, this treasure isn't mine. With that, Su Yun turned and planned to leave. What? 9 divine wind heavenly beads? Hearing that, the guard's eyes widened. He immediately pressed down on Su Yun's shoulder and asked anxiously, Is what you said true? Do you think that I came here to play a joke on you? Su Yun asked. Of course not. The eagle race guard immediately cupped his fist toward Su Yun and said, About that, I hope that master can forgive me. I have offended you before. Forgive me. Forgive me. I will immediately go in and inform the patriarch. Please wait a moment. With that, he flew in like a wisp of smoke. The immortals at the side did not know what Su Yun had said to the eagle race, but seeing the sudden change in their attitude towards Su Yun, they were all shocked. After a while, the eagle race guard who ran and rushed out again, and without saying a word, he immediately brought Su Yun and Faceless in. This scene immediately caused the surrounding scattered immortals to be in an uproar, and all of them started to guess the origins of the two of them. This house did not have too many defenses. The eagle god race was arrogant, and they did not think that there would be anyone who dared to offend them. I really didn't expect you to come here. When Su Yun was brought to a spacious area, a voice came from a tall platform in the distance. This was the empty space at the back of the mansion. It seemed like the Eagle clan people were not used to that narrow house. The one who spoke was the patriarch of the divine eagle race. The other divine eagle race people were all soaring and circling in the sky. They were not flying high, but the surrounding wind was already controlled by them, and the strong wind continued to slap Su Yun. Patriarch seems to know that I'm coming. Su Yun asked. I don't know, but when you were at the door, I already noticed you. Our eagle god clan's eagle eyes can easily see every movement in this immortal city. The patriarch of the divine eagle race said indifferently. His current appearance was very amazing. His arms were like wings, and although they were not fully extended, they could reach the 2 sides of the house. His feet were like eagle claws, bold and powerful. The claws were glowing with blue light, as if they could tear everything apart. His wings and feet began to transform, and finally, his entire body became no different from an ordinary person. He jumped down from the stage, and, as though he was being dragged by the wind, he landed lightly on the ground. The person in front of him had a cold expression, sharp eyebrows, starry eyes, fair skin, and was extremely handsome. It was hard to imagine that he was the famous patriarch of the divine eagle race. No matter how one looked at him, he looked like a pretty boy. It was not the first time Su Yun had seen him. Seeing him, Su Yun could not help but think of Yangzi. That kind girl, he did not know how she was doing now, or if she was doing well. Greetings, Lord. Su Yun took a deep breath and cupped his fists. However, the patriarch of the divine eagle race was not in a hurry to speak, but looked at Su Yun from head to toe and said indifferently, What? Just because you have my daughter protecting you, You think I won't dare to kill you? You actually dare to appear in front of me. You are courting death." His voice became ferocious. "If Lord wants to kill me, then do it. I originally did not have any ill intentions, but Lord has always thought that I am not good for the divine eagle race. Since that's the case, wouldn't it be better to kill me?" Suyin laughed. "You think I don't dare?" The patriarch of the divine eagle race was obviously not in a good mood. His face was filled with killing intent. "I don't know if you dare or not, but I know that the current you can't kill me. Furthermore, if you don't want the 9 god wind heavenly beads, then you can make your move." Su Yun's voice became even colder, not giving in at all. The patriarch of the divine eagle race stared at Su Yun coldly, and after a moment he said, "Since that's the case, then please speak. If what you say means nothing to me, then don't leave this place." This was a warning and also a form of coercion. The people of the divine eagle race were currently in a bad mood. For Su Yun to run over at such a time, he would naturally not receive any good treatment, as Su Yun was still a fugitive of the divine eagle race. But Su Yun was not afraid. He smiled and said, "The divine eagle race is an ancient great race in the immortal world, with a long history, ancient and powerful. But today, the divine eagle race's clan protection treasure has been snatched away. This matter will spread soon, and at that time, the divine eagle race will definitely become the laughingstock of the immortal world, and all the tyrants of the divine eagle race, facing such a matter, can only sit here bitterly, without any plans. I am truly worried for the future of the divine eagle race, and also feel sad and pain for Miss Yangzi." The patriarch of the divine eagle race frowned and said in a low voice, "Cut the crap. I hope I can hear something useful from your next sentence." The patriarch of the divine eagle race is truly impatient. "Forget it. You have lost your clan protection treasure. Naturally, you are a little anxious. I will not speak any more nonsense. You have lost your clan protection treasure. You know who took it, but you have no way to deal with it. After all, the other party is not strong, but they have a lot of people and many treasures. It is difficult for the divine eagle race to attack, right? Seems like you have always been paying attention to our divine eagle race." The patriarch obviously heard something from Su Yun's words. "What I am concerned about is not just the divine eagle race. I am concerned about the entire immortal world." "Then do you have any brilliant plans?" "The current power of the 1,000 beyond heavens is already unstoppable. Ordinary immortal sects are unable to shake them. Even if it is your divine eagle race, to eat the current 1,000 beyond heavens is extremely difficult, but you have lost your treasure. Logically speaking, you can ask for help from the immortal court." "Immortal court?" The patriarch of the divine eagle race snorted coldly. "Let's not talk about the immortal court having ulterior motives towards my clan's treasure. Just the fact that my divine eagle race has never been restrained by the immortal court. They have long been dissatisfied with us. Why would they help us? You said it yourself. The immortal court's goal is also the 9 divine wind Empyrean beads. Do you think the immortal court will sit idly by and watch the people of the 1,000 beyond heavens take away the 9 divine wind Empyrean beads? They will not allow a super force like the 1,000 beyond heavens to suddenly become stronger and stronger. They will definitely attack them, lest they grow into an immortal sect that they cannot control in the future. Lord only needs to send one person to the immortal court, and use the reason of the 1,000 beyond heavens to seize the 9 divine wind Empyrean beads, and ask the immortal court to take action. The immortal court will definitely help." Su Yin said seriously. However, the clan leader remained silent. After an unknown period of time, he shook his head and said, "No. The people of our divine eagle clan never come in contact with outsiders, let alone the immortal court. This matter is an internal matter of our clan. If I were to seek help from the immortal court, the dignity of our divine eagle clan would be completely destroyed. In the end, Lord can't put down this face. This is dignity. Isn't it the same? But if Lord Patriarch feels that it's not possible, I can do it for you." Su Yin said. "Do it for you? What do you mean?" "I'm helping you ask for help from the immortal court." "In whose name?" "Naturally, in the name of the sect whose interests were harmed by the 1,000 beyond heavens." "You were also harmed by the 1,000 beyond heavens?" "No." "Then you... Can't you just make up a reason?" Su Yun smiled The current immortal court actually wants to get rid of the 1,000 beyond heavens more than you and I. But they have no reason, no excuse. If they had an honorable reason, their troops would have already arrived at the gates of the 1,000 beyond heavens. Hearing that, the divine eagle race patriarch became silent. After a while, he asked, "Why do you want to help us?" "It's not to help you. It's to help Miss Yangzi." Su Yun shook his head. "Back then, Miss Yangzi risked her life to save me, so I naturally have to owe her a favor. Although she did not come, I know that she also hopes that her father will be able to safely bring the 9-god wind heavenly beads back. Furthermore, this plan does not have any losses to me. Fighting is your business. I'm just playing with my mouth." He spoke in a carefree manner and was open-minded. Hearing that, a look of astonishment flashed past the divine eagle race patriarch's face. He nodded and praised. "Although I don't like you, I have to admit that you are a loyal person. Our divine eagle race values this kind of immortal the most. Patriarch is too kind. There's no time to lose. I'll send people to the immortal court now. I hope that Lord Patriarch can make preparations as soon as possible." Su Yun said. He did not stay for long, bowed, and turned to leave. The divine eagle race patriarch did not urge him to stay, and watched as Su Yun left. When Su Yun left, the surrounding experts of the divine eagle race immediately flew over and gathered beside the patriarch. "Patriarch, this person is eccentric and even snuck into our divine eagle race to do evil things. This person cannot be trusted," a Eagle clan member said. "Do evil things? If not for him blocking us, our 9-god wind heavenly jewels would have been stolen a long time ago," the divine eagle race patriarch said indifferently. "But, all right, I know what you guys are worried about. This person is unfathomable. Although we do not know his purpose, we cannot be careless. Let's think of a way to take back the 9-god wind heavenly jewels first." Yes. Chapter 1344. The Immortal Court had long wanted to make a move on 1,000 Beyond Heaven, but the Immortal Court had their own concerns. Previously, in order to obtain resources and seize some equipment materials that were beneficial to them, the Immortal Court had sent troops to quietly destroy the weaker immortal sects and swallow them up. Although it was done quietly, it attracted criticism, but there was no evidence left behind, and everything was just the speculation of the immortals. But now that they were facing 1,000 Beyond Heaven, the troops could not swallow such a large immortal sect, and the Immortal Court could not do it quietly. If they could not do it privately, they could only find an excuse to do it publicly. And the arrival of the person sent by Su Yun was what the Immortal Court had been looking forward to for a long time. This time, the person who went was none other than Kai Tian himself. After thinking about it, Su Yun felt that the people from the Immortal Seeking sect and the Great Linglong Palace were not suitable, and the cabinet elders of the Jiangyun Palace were cultivating all day long. Ever since they had attached themselves to Su Yun, all the matters in the Jiangyun Palace were handled by Xiang Yang and Su Luluo, and the majority of the disciples in the Jiangyun Palace had also joined the Immortal Seeking sect. The current Jiangyun Palace was like an old man past his prime, weak and powerless. Kai Tian was the best candidate. The Immortal Seeking sect and the Great Linglong Palace had been investigated more and more frequently by the Immortal Court, and Su Yun felt that the Immortal Court had become more vigilant towards his two sections. If there were any other unusual movements, the Immortal Court would definitely pay more attention to them. So it was most suitable to let the 8 Harmonies sect, which had the least suspicion and would not attract the attention of the Immortal Court the most, go. Kai Tian did not disappoint Su Yun. He completed the mission excellently. Using the excuse that the 8 Harmonies sect was attacked by the 1,000 Beyond Heaven, he personally went to the Immortal Court to complain. The attack was naturally fake, but the Immortal Court was too lazy to investigate further. They had waited for this reason for a long time. Under such circumstances, how could they spend time to determine whether Kai Tian's words were true or false? When Kai Tian stepped out of the Immortal Court followed closely behind. 300,000 experts of the Immortal Court came out in full force, directly heading towards 1,000 Beyond Heaven. Under such a shortage of manpower, The Immortal Court was still able to gather 300,000 fighting strength in such a short period of time. Their strength was truly unimaginable. Knowing that the Immortal Court had sent out 300,000 troops to the Thousand Beyond Heavens, the Thousand Beyond Heavens naturally didn't feel good. Nearly 100 immortal sects responded to the Thousand Beyond Heavens and rapidly gathered at the entrance of the Thousand Beyond Heavens to set up defenses. After the clan leader of the Divine Eagle Clan knew about the Immortal Court's decision, he quickly sent people to the Divine Eagle Clan and gathered a large number of Divine Eagle Clansmen. He planned to attack the Thousand Beyond Heavens with the Immortal Court and take back the 9 Heavenly Wind Heavenly Pearl. Su Yun was also extremely interested, but from the beginning to the end, he did not plan to get involved in the war, because once the war started, there would be no victor. Although the Thousand Beyond Heaven's current power was very strong, his strength was only on the surface. The strength of these 100 or so immortal sects were not uniform, and the fish and dragons were mixed together, making it difficult to gather the hearts of the people. They had only gathered together for the sake of survival, but if they were to face a real predicament, how many people would be of one mind and work together to advance and retreat? Next was the Immortal Court. Although the Immortal Court was still the overlord of the immortal world, in the open and secret battles with Su Yun and the True Devil Realm, the Immortal Court had suffered heavy losses and countless resources had been destroyed. If it was the previous Immortal Court, dealing with 1,000 Beyond Heavens would not take much time, but now they were in a difficult situation. After all, at the Immortal Sect, there were still people from the True Devil Realm eyeing them covetously, and there were even stronger enemies hidden in the immortal world. As for the Divine Eagle race, although the strength of these people was extremely terrifying, they were all here for the 9 Divine Wind Heavenly Jewels, unlike the Immortal Court. Their goal this time was not only to seize the 9 Divine Wind Heavenly Jewels, but also to weaken the strength of the Thousand Beyond Heavens. The Immortal Court's majestic group headed towards the Thousand Beyond Heaven, but Su Yun was still waiting for them to exhaust themselves, recuperating and accumulating energy. Of course, just developing resources was far from enough. He still needed to continuously absorb new power. Su Yun did not plan to absorb the power of the immortal world. After all, the immortals were still rather repulsed by the Devil Cultivator. So he handed the matter of recruiting troops to Octagon Aniseed, who would act as a diplomat, and began to wander around the myriad realms, searching for those who had been suppressed by the Immortal Court and suffered injustice. This was a difficult task, but since things had developed to this extent, Octagon Aniseed had no choice but to do it. The strength of the Immortal Court was not only because of its powerful resources, but also because of its many talents. Not to mention the countless envoys and envoys. Just the 3 heroes of the Immortal Court, the army group, and a minister envoy were all extraordinary existences. Other than Qin Xianlong, Xing Bai, and the others who could barely contend against these existences, no one else could last more than a few rounds in front of them. The incident of the Thousand Beyond Heavens quickly spread throughout the entire Immortal Court, and Su Yun would receive news from the Thousand Beyond Heavens every day. The person in charge of the Immortal Court was none other than the Sword God who had fought with the Divine Eagle race, Yishao, with him personally leading 300,000 Immortal Court soldiers and over 100 Immortal Court experts. They personally arrived in front of the Thousand Beyond Heavens, and the Thousand Beyond Heavens had already made their preparations. Qian Tian had been waiting at the gates since early in the morning, and more than half of the immortals in the Thousand Beyond Heavens Alliance were gathered inside and outside the encampment of the Thousand Beyond Heavens sect. Although there were many people from the Immortal Court this time, the Thousand Beyond Heavens was densely packed with people. Roughly speaking, there were at least 1 million immortals. Qian Tian seemed to feel that this was not enough, and even specially took out his mechanism equipment and mechanism immortal beast, causing all sorts of array formations to flash on the walls of the Thousand Beyond Heavens sect. On the day of the negotiation, Su Yun specially rushed to the Thousand Beyond Heavens alone, wanting to observe the situation there. The densely packed figures of the Divine Eagle race were flying around the periphery of the Thousand Beyond Heavens. The Divine Eagle race, people spread their wings, all of them looking extremely huge. The divine eagle race had also sent out close to 10,000 divine eagle race people. All of them were existences above the spirit profound God realm. All of them could be considered experts, although there were very few of them. Their fighting strength was definitely not weak. Before the people from the immortal court arrived, they were only circling around at the side, watching. When the immortal court's army arrived, the divine eagle race leader waved his hand and immediately gathered all the people from the divine eagle race, watching from afar. Su Yin was also watching from afar. The divine eagle race's patriarch's sharp eagle eyes had already sensed Su Yun's existence. But when he realized that Su Yun was alone, he did not say anything. If he came here alone, he would most likely be watching the show. When the sword god Yi Shao arrived, the atmosphere of the thousand beyond heavens changed greatly. He was alone, holding onto a red sword. He flew over, and behind him was a black mass of a long dragon, following closely behind him. When he stood proudly 100 miles in front of the thousand beyond heavens, the immortal court army that was rushing over had already lined up behind him. This time, it was obvious that the immortal court had spent a lot of resources to nurture an excellent army. All of them were equipped with high-quality equipment, and under the lingering immortal chi, they even emitted a light aura. All of their blades and swords were shining, filled with killing intent. The sword god smiled. As a legendary figure of the immortal court, an existence that surpassed the three heroes of the immortal court. With him leading the team, the morale of the immortal court people was greatly boosted, and they were filled with confidence. Even if they were facing 1,000,000 people, they were still fearless. Both sides faced each other, and the surroundings slowly quietened down. The atmosphere was a little cold, but the more it was like this, the more nervous people felt. Lord Sword God has personally come to my thousand beyond heavens. My thousand beyond heavens is truly honored. But I wonder, why did Lord Sword God bring so many people here? Thousand beyond heavens revealed a warm smile and took the lead to break the silence. He was a man wearing a purple robe. He was not tall, and he was thin and gentle. He was not good-looking. He was the kind of person that would be hard to notice in a crowd. However, there were 3 golden marks on his face, one on his left cheek, one on his right cheek, and one on his forehead. These marks were overflowing with divine power. It was especially terrifying. Thousand beyond heavens, you have disregarded the laws of the immortal court, disregarded the rules of the immortal world, formed a clique for personal gain, despised the law, committed evil deeds everywhere, bullied weak immortal sex, and even suspected of stealing the 9 heavenly wind heavenly beads of the divine eagle clan. Now, I order you to obediently hand over the 9 heavenly wind heavenly beads and accept the punishment of the immortal court. Otherwise, the thousand beyond heavens will only end in destruction. Sword God shouted solemnly. In the end, it was Sword God Yi Shao. His words were really imposing and firm. If it was other immortals, would they dare to say such words to the powerful thousand beyond heavens? However, Sword God Yi Shao was different. Even if he ignored the 300,000 immortal court experts behind him and his identity as a member of the immortal court, he still dared to say such words with his strength. The people of the Divine Eagle clan just watched quietly. It seemed like they had no intention to interfere. Thousand beyond heaven's lips curled up. Lord Sword God, where did this come from? Bullied weak immortal sex and stole the 9 heavenly wind heavenly beads of the Divine Eagle clan? This is really unjust. I wonder which bastard went to the immortal court to slander my thousand beyond heavens. Once I find out the truth, I will definitely not let him go. You are not going to admit it. Lord Sword God, you need evidence for everything. Without evidence, it is just your words. Evidence? No, but there is a witness. Witnesses can be faked. The sect leader of 8 Unity Gate is Tion Tion. How can he be faked? Tion Tion, Thousand Beyond Heavens was obviously shocked. He asked, where is he? Although he is not in the future, Tion Tion sect leader personally went to the immortal court to expose your evil deeds. Is that so? Thousand Beyond Heaven's lips curled up into a cold smile. His eyes were filled with killing intent. It was obvious that Tion's actions had angered him. Are you still not going to admit to your crimes? Sword God smiled and asked again. Even if he is Tion, it is just his side of the story. He cannot testify against us. Moreover, we are not guilty, so how can we admit to our crimes? Thousand Beyond Heavens insisted. I think all of you are just stubborn. Sword God roared. It was obvious that he did not expect to make the people of Thousand Beyond Heavens submit with just words. This battle still had to be fought. Thousand Beyond Heavens was forced into a corner. After all, he knew where the 9 heavenly wind heavenly beads were. The people of the Divine Eagle clan were eyeing them from behind. This battle was definitely unavoidable. Fortunately, Thousand Beyond Heavens was fully prepared. Even if the Immortal Court's army came, he was not afraid. Has the Immortal Court become like this? They want to arrest us without any evidence? It seems like the Immortal Court no longer represents the laws of the immortal world. Everyone, follow me to destroy these dogs of the Immortal Court, overthrow the laws of the Immortal Court, and establish a new order. Thousand Beyond Heaven shouted. His voice spread in all directions. Chapter 1345. Hearing Tion shout, Su Yun was shocked. What was the Thousand Beyond Heaven trying to do? Openly defying the Immortal Court? Was this a rebellion? When Su Yun heard Tion's word from afar, he was shocked. Although the current Thousand Beyond Heaven did have some power, it was still far from being able to openly contend against the Immortal Court. Everything was fine, but he wanted to start a war with the Immortal Court. Su Yun did not think that Tion was an impulsive fellow. To be able to lead the Thousand Beyond Heaven to its current scale, it was impossible for him to do so without some brains and foresight. Since he was not impulsive, yet he said such words, it was enough to show that the Thousand Beyond Heaven had something else to rely on. It seems like the information that Luo has investigated regarding the Thousand Beyond Heaven is only on the surface. Su Yun secretly thought. The Divine Eagle race people were also surprised. After all, even their Divine Eagle race did not dare to say such words to the Immortal Court, but Tion had said it without any hesitation. Interesting. Since you guys have said so, then it's too interesting. The Sword God smiled. The corner of his mouth raised into his signature enchanting smile. The killing intent in his eyes became denser. The red sword in his hand was unsheathed, the sword tip slashing towards Tion. In that case, I have no scruples. Everyone listen up. Use all your strength to kill the Thousand Beyond Heaven. Don't leave a single one alive. As his voice fell, one man and one sword had already approached Tion. Sword God Yishao was an expert on the same level as the Divine Eagle Clan leader. Tion was definitely not a match for him. Tion hurriedly used a treasure to block Sword God Yishao's sword. Then, he quickly retreated into the Thousand Beyond Heaven. A large number of experts immediately surged out from the Thousand Beyond Heaven. These experts were extremely powerful and were not the slightest bit weaker than the people from the Immortal Court. The people from the Immortal Court also rushed forward like a flood, and the battle between the Thousand Beyond Heaven and the Immortal Court immediately erupted. Su Yun stood up and stared intently at the battlefield. He realized that the immortals that had rushed out from the Thousand Beyond Heaven were too powerful. Some of them were only slightly weaker than the Thousand Heavens, and most of them were unfamiliar faces. Could it be that these fellows were the elites of the immortal sects that had submitted to the Thousand Beyond Heaven? Both sides were locked in battle, and the retreat of Thousand Skies caused Sword God One Smile to lose his target. He wielded his red sword with one hand, and as if there was no one around him, he rushed into the crowd of Thousand Skies beyond and started waving his sword around. The sword seemed to have come to life. As his arm continued to vibrate, every time the sword edge was about to hit the target's body would automatically shatter, directly turning into fragments that splashed in all directions. Sword pressure. This phenomenon was caused by the sword pressure emitted from the sword in Sword God Yizhao's hand. His swordsmanship was so powerful that he could easily use the pressure of his sword to kill his opponent. This was not the peak of sword chi, but the peak of brute sword and strength sword. Su Yun's eyes congealed, staring straight at the sword god. Although Thousand Skies chose to avoid the battle, it did not mean that the immortals that came out from the Thousand Beyond Heaven would be able to block the Immortal Court's attack. Under the leadership of the sword god, the Immortal Court's army had already started to approach the gate of the Thousand Skies Beyond Heaven. The situation was completely controlled by the Immortal Court, and the Thousand Skies Beyond Heaven seemed to be unable to hold on. However, Thousand Skies, who was floating in the sky above the Thousand Skies Beyond Heaven, did not reveal the slightest bit of nervousness. He quietly watched the battle, as if he already had a plan. As expected, just then, two beams of light suddenly shot out from the inside of the Thousand Skies Beyond Heaven, directly sweeping towards the Immortal Court's army. The laser seemed to be right behind the door of the Thousand Skies Beyond Heaven, so when it was shot out, the experts of the Immortal Court were unable to dodge in time, and their bodies were directly penetrated by the laser. The laser could not be blocked at all, and anyone who touched it died. In an instant, hundreds of people from the Immortal Court died. Luring us over? So that's how it is. However, in the face of absolute power, your little tricks are useless. The sword god said coldly. He suddenly leaped, and a huge shadow appeared behind him. The shadow held a sword and moved in the same manner as the sword god. He raised the sword in his hand high and slashed at the gate of the Thousand Heavens Beyond. The sword edge blossomed with a dazzling red light, and the huge sword in the mysterious man's hand flickered, as if it was filled with energy. That beautiful sword strike, that unparalleled sword strike, just like that, appeared in front of Su Yun, in front of everyone's eyes. At this moment, everyone seemed to have forgotten to breathe. Their eyes were wide open as they watched the sword fall. It was as if their hearts were trembling along with the fall of the sword. Chi 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 chi. Clang. The sharp sword slashed down, shattering the enchantment and smashing the door. The 1,000 Outer Heaven disciples beside the door were immediately engulfed by the sword chi. Their bodies were smashed to pieces, and their souls were no more. When this sword fell, it really shattered mountains and rivers, and shook the world. The 1,000 Outer Heaven door opened. Without hesitation, sword god Yishao leaped in and attacked towards the 1,000 Heavens Beyond. All of these actions were done in one go. The armies on both sides were like nothing in his eyes. Yishao was truly worthy of the name sword god. The seemingly cold sword in his hands was in another realm. Sword god Yishao rushed over, but 1,000 Heavens Beyond seemed to be intentionally standing there to lure sword god Yishao. When sword god Yishao got close, he retreated again, and a large number of immortals immediately surged out from his body, surrounding him tightly, blocking sword god Yishao. However, sword god's strength was not to be underestimated. No matter how many people surrounded and attacked him, they were unable to harm him at all. On the other hand, on the side of 1,000 Heavens Beyond, corpses were strewn everywhere, blood was everywhere. It was extremely miserable. The Immortal Court army was like a hot knife cutting through butter. They had already started to advance towards the gate of 1,000 Heavens Beyond. On the side of 1,000 Heavens Beyond, more and more reinforcements were rushing towards the gate. Both sides were like a raging fire. It was extremely intense. At this time, the Divine Eagle clan should be almost done, right? Su Yun retracted his gaze from sword god Yishao, who was surrounded by the crowd, and once again looked at the Divine Eagle clan in the distance. As expected, the Divine Eagle clan truly moved. The Divine Eagle clan leader flapped his wings. 6 gigantic wings sprouted out from his back and flew into the sky. The entire sky instantly darkened. Other than the light emitted from the techniques, there was no other light. The Divine Eagle clan leader's wings actually covered the entire sky. The people of 1,000 Heavens Beyond were shocked. On the other hand, the people from the Immortal Court army were not surprised. Maybe they already knew that the Divine Eagle clan would make a move. Straight for the 9-god wind Heavenly Pearl. Ignore the rest. The Divine Eagle clan leader bellowed. He then flapped his gigantic and terrifying wings that seemed to be thousands of miles long and dove down towards the base of 1,000 Heavens Beyond. The terrifying air flow swept downwards. The immortals who were still fighting were caught off guard and were immediately blown away by the gale. Many of the techniques were also affected by the wind and changed their flight paths. They would either be killed on the spot or hit the wrong target. The already chaotic battle became even more chaotic after the Divine Eagle race's people joined in. In the end, you guys still couldn't control yourselves. People of the Divine Eagle clan. Thousand Heavens Beyond, who was heavily surrounded by experts, saw the people of the Divine Eagle clan flying towards the base. He laughed coldly and dashed out of the crowd, heading towards the base at the back of Thousand Heavens Beyond. Thousand Heavens Beyond! The Divine Eagle clan leader's voice was cold as he stared at the skinny man. After holding back a sword god, I didn't expect to be targeted by you. My luck today is really bad. However, your luck won't be any better. Qin Tianho smiled, then suddenly stopped. He stopped on the spot. The Divine Eagle clan leader felt that something was wrong. For no reason at all, why didn't Thousand Heavens run? Could it be that he knew that he couldn't beat the Divine Eagle clan leader in terms of speed? So he gave up? However, this idea was completely wrong. Around Qiantian, a large amount of rainbow-colored net of light suddenly appeared. These nets of light directly rose up from below, as if they had been prepared in advance. All of the eagle men flying over were firmly trapped by the net of light. Seeing this, the other eagle men were all extremely stunned. They immediately raised their weapons and raised their claws, attempting to tear the net of light apart, but to no avail. Ha 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 ha! This is the rainbow heavenly net that I personally made for your Divine Eagle race. Its hardness is extraordinary, and its toughness is extremely strong. It won't be easy to break free from it. Qin Tian burst out laughing, looking extremely proud of himself. Right from the start, Thousand Beyond Heavens had made ample preparations. Not only were they prepared to deal with the Immortal Court, but they were also prepared to deal with the Divine Eagle clan. Bang! At that moment, the colorful net that had entangled the Divine Eagle clan leader suddenly let out a loud sound, and then directly shattered. The Divine Eagle clan leader flapped his 6 enormous wings, coldly rose into the sky, and said in a deep voice, "In the 10,000 worlds, no one can save you." After saying that, his figure moved, and he instantly disappeared. When he reappeared, an extremely terrifying whirlpool of wind immediately appeared beside Qiantian. Once this whirlpool appeared, Qiantian felt as if he was bound by an invisible wind, and it was extremely difficult for him to move. At the same time, the Divine Eagle clan leader's sharp claws had already unceremoniously extended towards his heart, as if he was planning to directly dig out his heart to take a look. Pucci! The sharp claws directly pierced through Qiantian's chest, grabbed his heart directly, and then crushed it. Qiantian's body trembled a few times, and then fell from the sky. There was no sign of life, and he could not be any more dead. Seeing this, the people of the Divine Eagle clan were extremely shocked. He died just like that? Isn't sect leader Qiantian's strength too weak to actually be unable to withstand a casual attack from our clan leader? As expected, he is too weak. The people of the Divine Eagle clan were astonished, and they could not help but exclaim, "With such strength, he still dared to fall out with the Immortal Court. Wasn't he looking for death?" However, the clan leader did not appear to be overly happy. He looked left and right, as if he was looking for something. Looks like you still know that I'm not dead." At that moment, another voice rang out in the sky. Looking over, it was Qiantian, whose heart had been grabbed out previously. He actually appeared in front of everyone unscathed. Chapter 1346. Was that just an illusion? The Divine Eagle tribe leader snorted and suddenly disappeared. When he reappeared, he was already behind Qiantian. His terrifying hand turned into an eagle claw and dug out Qiantian's heart. Even Sword God Yishao would be ashamed of his terrifying speed. Qiantian's body fell to the ground once again. The Eagle tribe members stared at him. However, before they could let out a cry of joy, Qiantian's voice came from afar. "The dignified Divine Eagle tribe leader, only has this much?" His smile was filled with mockery. The divine eagle tribe leader furrowed his brows, as if he had sensed something. In a cold voice, he said, "Humph, if my guess is correct, the technique that you're using now is the technique that you're famous for, the 1,000 illusion transformation, right?" "Oh, you have good eyes." Qian Tian laughed. "I can create clones continuously. As long as you use a fatal technique on me, my clones will help me offset the damage. Although you are stronger than me, you will never be able to kill me. If you cannot kill me, you will never be able to win against me." Damn it! When the Divine Eagle tribe members heard this, they were infuriated. "That is hard to say. You're only powerful because of your moves, not yourself. Once your moves are broken, you'll be weak and powerless." The Divine Eagle tribe leader's expression turned cold. The 6 wings on his back were fully extended, and the gigantic wings seemed to be able to cover the entire Qian Weitian. The wings were slightly curved, and the Qian Weitian's figure was covered by their shadows. Qian Tian frowned and felt that something was wrong. At this moment, the huge wings that covered him suddenly moved. They trembled lightly, as though they were beating something. An air current formed from the huge wings and pounced towards him. Qian Tian immediately moved his body and wanted to rush out of the huge wings. However, the 6 huge wings stacked on top of each other and sealed off the entire area. Qian Tian seemed to be trapped in an airtight cage and had nowhere to run. "Elder Lin Yi, go and get the 9-god wind heavenly pearl. Use the eagle eye to find its current position. Get the heavenly pearl and leave immediately." The Divine Eagle tribe leader's voice came out again. How could the Divine Eagle tribe members dare to hesitate? With a loud roar, he immediately rushed towards the interior of the 1,000 beyond heaven. Qian Tian was sealed by the Divine Eagle race leader's wings and could not escape for the time being. The Divine Eagle race people's attacks were much simpler, and the disciples of the 1,000 beyond heaven were simply not a match for the Divine Eagle race people. These spirit, profound God existences were like a group of wolves that had rushed into a sheep pen. They were completely fearless. Pairs of eagle eyes scanned the various buildings in the 1,000 beyond heaven, searching for the location of the 9 divine wind heavenly beads. Elder Lin, just as the Divine Eagle clan was searching for the whereabouts of the 9 heavenly wind pearls, a voice suddenly rang out. A middle-aged Divine Eagle race member flew out from the crowd and looked towards the source of the voice. However, when he saw the owner of the voice, he was shocked. Not only him, but the other Divine Eagle race members were also shocked. It turned out that the people who were shouting were actually Yangzi, Ardent Hawk, and the others. Yangzi, Lin, he came back to his senses. His expression turned serious as he bellowed. "Why are you here? Didn't I tell you to stay at Eagle Mountain? Do you know how dangerous this place is? Hurry back! Hurry back!" With that, Lin shouted to the 2 Divine Eagle race members beside him. "You 2 immediately send these juniors back. This is simply outrageous." "Yes, Elder." The 2 Divine Eagle race members nodded, then flew towards Yangzi and the rest. Yangzi, Ardent Hawk, Shui Yu, and the rest naturally became nervous, and all of them could not help but retreat. On the other hand, Yangzi was still relatively calm and anxiously shouted, "Elder Lin Yi, we are already here. What reason do we have to go back? Now that the Divine Eagle race's clan protection treasure has been lost, and there are even people who are threatening the Divine Eagle race. The Divine Eagle race is in an extremely dangerous situation. Can't we, the younger generation, help? But your strength is too shallow, and you cannot participate in this kind of battle. This is the rule of the Patriarch. If we lose our lives, the lives of these Divine Eagle race warriors are not lives. Why should they appear in the most dangerous place, and we have to hide behind them? Elder Lin, I will take care of my father's side. You don't have to worry. Furthermore, although 1,000 beyond heaven's strength cannot compare to our Divine Eagle race, it is still incomparably huge, and its area is at least 10 times that of Eagle Mountain. Can you find the whereabouts of the 9-god wind heavenly pearls?" Yangzi had a serious expression. Elder Lin frowned, as though he had thought of something, and looked as though he wanted to say something, but stopped. However, Yangzi spoke again. Elder Lin, Yangzi was born with the divine eagle's sharp eyes. It is a gift from the heavens to Yangzi. It is a favor from the heavens. This is something that you do not have under my divine eagle's sharp eyes. There is nothing that can be hidden, so please let us help and find the 9 God-wind heavenly pearls together. Only by recovering the 9 God-wind heavenly pearls can our divine eagle race quell this disaster earlier. This, Lin, he hesitated. Elder Lin, the current situation does not allow for much consideration. We are also a part of the divine eagle race. Why can we only hide behind when the divine eagle race is in trouble? We are eagles, not turtles. Liang also spoke, his voice like thunder. With that said, many of the divine eagle race people present had a whole new level of respect for these juniors, and there were some who agreed with these juniors staying behind. Linny thought about it again and again. Seeing that most of the people present had agreed, and the situation was grim, he could not afford to waste time here, so he could only compromise. All right, since that's the case, then you can follow us for the time being, but I have to warn you, you are not allowed to move alone. You are not allowed to leave my field of vision. If you meet a strong enemy, you must follow me closely at all times. Do you understand? Hearing that, Yangzi and the rest were overjoyed and immediately nodded. Yes, Elder Lin. All the divine eagle race people continued to move forward. At the same time, Su Yun was still watching the battle outside of the Thousand Beyond Heaven. Thousand Beyond Heaven did not command the battle, and only relied on the people in charge of the immortal sects to temporarily hold the fort. How could they be a match for the sword god? Without the backbone, the line of defense immediately loosened, and more people from the Thousand Beyond Heaven were sacrificed. If not for the group of powerful people from before dragging the sword god, the Thousand Beyond Heaven's gate would have already been lost. Su Yun was curious. The Thousand Beyond Heaven did not seem to have any outstanding defensive abilities. Why did they still dare to so arrogantly declare war on the Immortal Court? For the sake of a 9 God-wind heavenly pearl, why did Qintian have to make things so difficult to clean up? If the situation continued to develop like this, the Thousand Beyond Heaven would probably be razed to the ground by the sword god. Seeing that the battle was heading towards the interior of the Thousand Beyond Heaven, he could not help but follow them in. His powerful strength allowed him to see everything that was happening inside the Thousand Beyond Heaven from afar. Just that, after watching for a while, Su Yun suddenly frowned. A familiar figure entered his line of sight. Yangzi? What's she doing here? Su Yun muttered in his heart. He looked to the side of Yangzi. Fierce Eagle, Young Chick, Shui Yu, and the rest were all there. They were surrounded by the experts of the divine eagle race, attacking inside. Yangzi's eyes looked strange, although her strength was not as good as the surrounding experts of the divine eagle race. Her eyes were especially sharp. Golden light flickered. Her pupils were abnormally sharp, like 2 swords. Are they looking for the 9 God-wind heavenly pearl? Boom! At this time, another explosion sounded out in the distance. Looking towards the direction of the sound, he saw that the sword god had used some kind of terrifying technique. The sky was filled with sword images. The surrounding Thousand Beyond Heaven people were all pierced by the sword images. Their bodies were riddled with holes. They died miserably. The surroundings were completely cleared. The Thousand Beyond Heaven's defense line had already begun to collapse. The sword god sneered. Holding onto the red sword, he leaped up and rushed towards the interior of the Thousand Beyond Heaven. On the gigantic and lively realm tree, a lonely figure stood on a branch, looking at the red sun that was gradually sinking into the horizon. Her pure white and exquisite face revealed a trace of sorrow. She turned around and walked into the tree hole of the realm tree. She began to pinch a sparkling and translucent crystal and cast a spell. The crystal flickered, and the light that leaked out from its surface transformed into a large number of green leaves that gently floated to her feet. A moment later, she stopped. The radiance of the crystal ball gradually faded, but she could be heard calling out in a graceful voice, "Prime Minister Rome." Very quickly, there was movement outside the realm tree, and an old man hurriedly ran in. "Realm Master." "Greetings, Realm Master. What orders does Realm Master have?" Rong Muk anxiously bowed. Realm Master said unhurriedly. The situation in the immortal world is already unfolded, and in a few days, I will be heading to the immortal world. Everything in the Wanhua realm will be decided by you. Do you understand? Her voice was very light, like a spring breeze blowing. Hearing that, Rong Myuk was stunned for a moment, as though he had not reacted to what was going on. After a long while, he regained his senses and hurriedly said, Realm Master, this, everything is fine. Why do you want to go to the immortal world? You don't have to know that much. She looked at Rong Myuk, and her voice was still as indifferent as ever. You only need to know everything is the same as before. If I go to the immortal world and do not return for 10 years, then you can replace me and take control of the Wanhua realm. No matter what happens in the future, you only need to do your best. Realm Master's words were very obscure. It was obvious that she still had something to say, but Rong Myuk knew that she did not want to tell him. Sometimes, it would be good for everyone not to speak too clearly. Rong Myuk did not make a sound for a long time, and only when Realm Master's gaze returned to him did he sigh and cupped his fists. Yes, Realm Master. Yes, Realm Master, then you? When are you leaving? When? Realm Master shook her head and said indifferently, It won't be long. Chapter 1347. The divine eagle race had come for the 9 heavenly wind, heavenly pearls, and so did the people of the immortal court. They had paid a visit to the divine eagle race, but were chased out by the patriarch of the divine eagle race. However, it was different this time. This time, the 9 god wind celestial pearls had been snatched away by Qian Weitian. The Condor God clan's main focus of attack was on Qian Weitian. Furthermore, the Condor God clan leader was entangled by Qian Weitian. In that case, there was no one in the Condor God clan who could contend against the Sword God. The Sword God would be unstoppable, and obtaining the 9 god wind celestial pearls would be very easy. Although they still needed to weaken Qian Weitian's strength, it was a good opportunity to seize the 9 heavenly wind heavenly beads. Sword God rushed towards the inner part of Qian Weitian with irresistible force. The clan leader who was suppressing Qian Weitian immediately loosened his wings and chased after Sword God. However, Qian Tian did not seem to be worried about the Sword God at all. Instead, he took out his magic treasure and held back the divine eagle race leader. A pair of huge scissors suddenly appeared in his hand, and he threw it towards the divine eagle race leader. The scissors flew through the air and expanded by more than 10 times, looking extremely terrifying. The scissors opened up and fiercely cut towards the divine eagle race leader's wings. Qian Weitian was in a bad condition. His opponent was much stronger than him, after all. He was still alive because of his preparation. Clan leader, don't leave in a hurry. We're not done yet. Qian Weitian smiled while panting. I still have a bunch of magic treasures prepared for you. Don't you want to taste them one by one? You're just an ant. How dare you act so presumptuously in front of me? Do you really think I can't kill you? The patriarch of the divine eagle clan was infuriated. He suddenly flapped his 6 wings, causing a gale to rise, blowing towards Qian Tian. The buildings behind Qian Tian were instantly blown away. The barrier was destroyed, and the people of the immortal court and Qian Tian Weitian who were still fighting were blown away, disappearing into the distance. Qian Weitian wasn't in a good condition either. His body was wobbling. The wind was too strong. It was not something he could resist. The clan leader took the chance and rushed towards Qian Weitian again. He avoided the huge scissors and clawed at Qian Weitian's head. That huge eagle claw seemed to be incomparable to all the swords and sabers in this world. Qian Tian originally wanted to use his doppelganger technique to dodge this terrifying attack, but at this moment he was shocked to find that he could no longer use his doppelganger technique. It turned out that when he was trapped by the Hawk God clan leader, the Hawk God clan leader's wing attack had already used up his 1,000 illusionary heaven transformation technique. This technique was a 1,000 sky technique, and once it was used, it could create 1,000 clones, and each clone could take the place of the main body to bear the terrifying damage. However, this technique could only withstand 1,000 attacks, and if it exceeded 1,000, the technique would automatically be broken. Although Thousand Sky technique could be used again, at this critical moment, he did not have the time to chant the complicated incantation and complete the complicated hand gestures. Qian Tian's expression changed, and he did not dare to fight the divine Eagle Clan leader head-on. He immediately dodged, but the sharp claws were too fast. Even though his reaction speed was at its limit, he could not dodge them. Whoosh! Qian Tian's shoulder was scratched by the sharp claws, and 3 deep grooves appeared. Blood and immortal qi flowed out. The intense pain did not slow Qian Tian down at all. He let out a breath, and it seemed like he did not intend to fight the Hawk God Clan leader head-on. Instead, he turned around and rushed towards the interior of Thousand Sky Beyond. However, as he flew, he activated 7 treasures and threw them towards the Hawk God Clan leader. Every single treasure was not ordinary, and activating them required a large amount of qi to support them. However, Qian Tian was able to activate them so easily, which showed that he was not weak either. The Hawk God Clan leader was entangled by these treasures, and his speed was reduced. Qian Tian took the opportunity to escape. "You can't escape," the Hawk God Clan leader said coldly. His eagle eyes had long locked onto Qian Tian, and no matter how far he ran, he would be able to see him clearly. Under his eagle eyes, no one could escape easily. After getting rid of Qian Tian's annoying treasures, the divine Eagle Clan leader immediately chased after him. His speed was simply unimaginable. At this moment, inside Thousand Sky Beyond, a large number of immortals from Thousand Sky Beyond were constantly fighting against the Hawk God Clan members who were rushing in. The ground was filled with the bodies of Thousand Sky Beyond's immortals, and the Hawk God Clan had also suffered some injuries. However, in terms of overall strength, although there were not many people from the Hawk God Clan, they were terrifyingly strong. Even Yang Zi and the other Hawk God Clan juniors were not to be underestimated. The people from Thousand Sky Beyond were gradually beaten to the point that they were all trembling in fear. Their bodies were trembling, and there were not many people who took the initiative to stop the Hawk God Clan. Found it! At this moment, Yang Zi, who had been following Lin Yi, suddenly shouted. The people from the Hawk God Clan all looked towards the direction of her gaze, only to see that Yang Zi's gaze was fixed on a small group of Thousand Sky Beyond people not far away. Among this group of people, there was a woman dressed in a black robe, who was her target. "Is it this person?" Linny asked. "I saw the aura of the 9-god wind pearl flowing on her body. It must be this person." Yang Zi shouted, "Kill this person," Linny bellowed, and took the lead to rush over. His gigantic wings directly sent the Thousand Sky Beyond people on both sides flying, and like a god descending, he rushed towards the group of people. The people around the woman in the black robe were all forced to retreat. One by one, they fled in panic. Who would dare to fight against the powerful Hawk God Clan? Only the woman in the black robe did not panic at all when she saw Lin Yi rushing over. Instead, she stood at her original position, not moving an inch. What was going on? Was she scared silly? Lin Yi secretly snorted. "This is good too. It'd save a lot of effort." With that, he extended both of his hands forward and directly turned them into 2 eagle claws, fiercely grabbing towards the woman in the black robe. A faint halo appeared between the claws. It was extremely mystical. When the sharp claws were about to reach the woman in the black robe, all the buildings around her, including the ground, were all shattered. The clouds under the foundation were all scattered. But the woman in the black robe still did not move an inch. Abnormal. This was too abnormal. This woman's calm performance was simply inconceivable. Would Thousand Sky Beyond casually place a treasure like the 9-god wind pearl on an ordinary immortal? Not good. In that instant, Lin immediately felt that something was wrong. If it was just an ordinary immortal, they would not be able to maintain their composure in the face of this claw. Even if they could maintain their mental state, their physical body would not be able to withstand it. However, it was as if she had completely ignored this attack. If she was not in existence with astonishing strength, how could she have such a method? However, this attack had already been unleashed. It was impossible to stop it. No matter who the other party was, he had to take back the nine-god wind pearl. Lin Yi's heart sank. However, just as his claws were about to reach the woman in the black robe, a snowy light suddenly floated up. Before Lin Yi could react, he felt his eyes suddenly fill with the snowy light. Then his claws felt cold, and he suddenly lost his senses. When he looked again, his claws had already been separated, and blood was splattering everywhere. What? Lin Yi's eyes widened. This speed, not to mention the naked eye, he did not even have time to feel it. At the same time, the woman in the black robe moved again. Her body trembled a few times, and Lin Yi's body suddenly suffered some kind of heavy blow. His skin cracked, and he fell to the side. He was already lying on the ground, unable to get up again. In the time it took for a spark to fly off a flint, Lin Yi was defeated. How was this possible? When the rest of the Divine Eagle clan saw this, they were all extremely shocked. Just what kind of strength did this woman have? Yangzi looked towards the woman and was shocked to discover that there was a faint cold light on the woman's sleeves. Everyone be careful. This woman's strength is not simple. She seems to have a transparent sword. I saw that she was holding the hilt of a sword in her sleeves. Yangzi shouted loudly. Oh, what girl with good eyesight. The woman in the black robe slowly raised her head. Under the wide hood was a small and fair face. She could not be considered very attractive, but she was a very charming woman. The woman's eyes were long and narrow, her lips were bright red, and she had a cold aura. It was believed that any man who saw this face would not have too much desire, and would instead tremble even more. The woman took out a few times from the space bag on her waist, then took out a pearl that emitted a seven-colored divine light. She threw the pearl on the ground and said with a faint smile, "Your Divine Eagle Clan's 9 divine wind heavenly pearl is here. If you want it, come and get it." Arrogant. Arrogant. This was a naked insult to the Divine Eagle Clan. When had the arrogant Divine Eagle Clan ever suffered such humiliation? Facing the woman's provocation, the Divine Eagle Clan members all seemed as if they were about to explode. They gritted their teeth and burned with anger. "Bastard, do you really think you can contend against us?" Everyone attacked together, seized the 9-god wind pearl. The eagle men roared and cried out as they pounced forward one by one. In that instant, the strong wind continued to blow like blades and swords. The woman seemed to be in the center of the storm, but she was as stable as Mount Tai, not moving at all. Her pair of long and narrow phoenix eyes stared at the eagle men that were rushing over. "Retreat! Quickly retreat!" Just as the Divine Eagle Clan members were rushing forward, Lin Yi suddenly shouted. But at this critical moment, how could he retreat? The eagle man approached. Like a dumpling, he got close to the woman. Yangzi, Shui Yu, and the rest widened their eyes as they watched this scene from the side. They did not rush forward, nor did they have the ability to help. But at this moment, a snow-white sword flower suddenly exploded around the woman and blossomed. Following that, countless transparent sword images descended from the sky and fiercely pierced towards the eagle men. Countless huge bodies fell from the sky, as well as the grayish-black feathers that gently fell like rain. Yangzi's eyes widened as tears flowed uncontrollably from the corners of her eyes. "No!" she screamed miserably. More and more people fell. The eagle's cry resounded through the world. Chapter 1348. No one knew who this woman was, and no one knew how strong she was. Thousand Skies? They were probably not even worth mentioning in front of her. When did such a strong person appear in Thousand Skies Beyond? Was she from Thousand Skies Beyond? No one could give an answer, but the Eagle God Clan members understood one thing. Very strong. This woman was very strong. Furthermore, she was not just strong. Close to 10,000 Eagle God Clan experts could not do anything to her. More and more Eagle God Clan members were cut down by the formless sword in the woman's hand. More and more blood splattered into the sky. Yangzi and the rest watched in grief, but there was nothing they could do. "Sister Yangzi, what should we do?" Shui Yu's face was filled with tears as she cried out. "We." Yangzi gritted her teeth and clenched her fists tightly. She raised her eyes and squeezed out a voice. Quickly go and find my father. My father will definitely be able to deal with this woman. You guys go, I'll go and help. Lion could not take it anymore. Seeing this woman being so arrogant, his heart was filled with rage and he was about to rush forward. But at this moment, Lin suddenly flapped his huge wings and stood up with all his might. Elder Lin, Yang Zi called out anxiously. Lin Yi's eyes were fixed on the black-robed woman who was being surrounded by the divine Eagle clan members. Suddenly, he let out a low roar and directly pounced towards the woman. His body was enveloped by a strong gust of wind, and his skin was suffused with a blue light. Not good, this is... Elder Lin, quickly stop. Yang Zi seemed to have sensed something and shouted anxiously. But her shout could not stop Lin Yi at all. Lin Yi directly pounced towards the woman. He knocked away the Eagle God clan members surrounding the woman. His body was like a thick wall, and he did not look back. When he got close to the woman, several sword beams had already pierced through his body. But his body did not retreat at all. Instead, he continued to advance forward. The woman widened her eyes as she looked at the muscular Eagle God clan member in front of her. In an instant, she understood. This Eagle clansman had already been killed by him a long time ago. Those sword strikes just now were all vital points, and his defense could not block his attacks at all. It was just that before he rushed over here, he had deliberately let his aura control his body, so that even after he was killed, his body could still move. Boundless wind wrapped around his body. The woman was too careless and was directly sent flying by Lin Yi's body. Then, Lin Yi's body fell to the ground and shattered into pieces. His soul did not come out either. It was obvious that his soul had been destroyed. Seeing this scene, the surrounding Eagle clansmen were all incomparably indignant. However, before their hatred could make them lose their minds, at this critical moment, a petite figure rushed into the group of eagles, picked up the 9 divine wind pearls that the woman had placed on the ground, and then turned to flee. The people of the Eagle tribe looked over and saw that this person was actually Yang Zi. It turned out that Yang Zi already knew about Lin Yi's plan, so he was the first to react. Miss Yang Zi, well done. Hurry up and leave. We'll stop this woman. When the other Eagle clansmen saw this, their spirits were all roused. They were full of energy and directly turned into a human wall, blocking the woman's path. Interesting. The woman stood up once again. Through the gaps in the crowd, she looked at the petite figure behind her, and the corner of her bright red mouth raised into a strange and cruel smile. I really didn't know that the people of your divine eagle race were actually so interesting. Like a mouse, you're actually sneaking around. It seems like I have no choice but to get serious. With that, the woman's body suddenly dimmed. Kill! The Eagle clansmen rushed forward in unison. But just as they were about to approach the woman, her body suddenly turned into a strand of black smoke, directly passing through the bodies of the divine Eagle race S and fiercely rushing towards Yang Zi, who was running away. This method was too strange. Quick, stop her. Miss Yang Zi, be careful. The Eagle clansmen roared. 2 of them had already rushed towards Yang Zi, wanting to stop the black smoke, but the black smoke speed was too fast, too crafty. Her speed was not any slower than the Eagle clansmen. Wanting to stop her was already impossible. The difference in strength was already very obvious. Even if the divine Eagle race had the advantage in numbers, they still could not control this pale situation. Yang Zi felt an incomparable chill on her back. The murderous intent was like thousands of threads, entangling her tightly. She turned her head to look, and the woman's beautiful yet incomparably terrifying face was reflected in her eyes. Yang Zi's heart turned cold. She secretly clenched her teeth, directly flipped her hand, and struck towards the woman. Since things had already come to this, escaping was useless. Since that was the case, why not fight? But this attack, in front of this woman, was as powerless as their strength. Just as she extended her hand, her wrist was directly grabbed by the woman. The huge strength made her unable to struggle. The woman's long and narrow eyes sized up Yang Zi. Her bright red lips slightly opened, and her red tongue lightly licked those alluring lips like a poisonous snake's kiss. TSK, 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 what a beauty. But you have angered me. This is your misfortune, the woman said with a smile, but the coldness in her eyes gradually became stronger. That transparent sword that was stained with the blood of countless eagle clansmen unceremoniously slashed towards Yang Zi's neck. Yang Zi's heart jumped. She wanted to dodge, but her speed could not keep up at all. Is she dead? Is it over? Yang Zi fiercely closed her eyes. Her mind was completely blank. But just as she thought that the sharp blade was going to cut her neck, a powerful sonorous sound suddenly rang out beside her ear. Yang Zi was startled and immediately opened her eyes. She saw that in front of her there was a snow-white sword. This sword just happened to block the woman's transparent sword. Seeing this sword, Yang Zi's mind was completely stupefied. Probably not only her, even the woman was startled. When the two of them looked at the owner of the sword, countless sword lights suddenly shot out. The woman immediately dodged. Yang Zi was completely dumbfounded. She only felt that her waist was being hugged by someone, her head leaning on a warm chest, and directly floated backwards. After a while, she finally stabilized her body. Yang Zi raised her head to look, and immediately, a familiar face appeared in her line of sight. She looked at this face. Her head was dizzy. Her small hands could not help but tightly grab onto his clothes. Big brother Fei Yun. An excited voice came out from Yang Zi's mouth. Are you all right? Su Yun stared at the black-robed woman and said softly. In that moment of imminent peril, Su Yun stood up. I'm fine. I'm fine. Yang Zi's eyes were filled with tears. She was happy and excited. It's good that you're fine. Su Yun released Yang Zi. Holding onto the dual moon sword with one hand, he fixed his eyes on the woman. The woman was not in a hurry to kill Yang Zi. She also stood still and looked at Su Yun with interest. The divine eagle race people were about to pounce on her again, but Su Yun spoke up. All of you retreat. You are not her match. No matter how many of you go up, you will all die. These words caused many people to be startled. Some of them recognized Su Yun, but seeing that he had saved Yang Zi, they did not say anything. They looked left and right and immediately flew towards Yang Zi. Interesting. To actually be able to withstand my sword. Are you also from the divine eagle race? The woman asked with a smile. No. Su Yun shook his head. Then who are you? The woman asked. Su Yun stared at her for a long while, then said, I won't tell you. With that said, the woman was startled for a moment, then laughed. Ha, interesting. How interesting. After so many years, no one has ever dared to speak to me in such a tone. Too interesting. If you don't choose to make a move, then we can only take the 9-god wind pearl and leave. Su Yun seemed to feel bored. What is it? Are you in such a hurry to fight with me? The woman stopped laughing. Her long and narrow phoenix eyes sized up Su Yun, the smile on her face becoming even wider. Since that's the case, fine, I'll satisfy you. As soon as she finished speaking, the woman instantly disappeared. When she appeared again, she was already behind Su Yun. He thought that she would immediately attack Su Yun, but when Su Yun turned around, the woman disappeared again. She quickly swung the transparent sword in her hand, but every sword strike did not land on Su Yun's body. This was like using a sword to set up a formation. Su Yun frowned. He did not dare be careless, and immediately activated the god power of the Imperial Battle Robe. Sure enough, when the woman retracted her sword and retreated, for gigantic rose patterns appeared around Su Yun's body. These rose patterns were all condensed from sword chi, but the moment they formed, they immediately disappeared without a trace. All of the sword chi were absorbed by the god power. The woman originally looked like she was watching a show, but when she realized that her technique was actually dispelled by Su Yun, she immediately frowned. God power, are you surprised? Su Yun said indifferently, and at this time, his figure also disappeared. Hee, your speed is not bad. Let me see just how capable you are. The woman seemed to be interested. She quickly swung her arms and saw a large number of sword images flying towards her from the sky. With her as the center, they continued to descend. However, when these sword images descended, they could not touch anything. On the contrary, an even colder shadow suddenly appeared amidst the sword images. It was the double moon sword. The woman's reaction was extremely fast. When the shadow appeared, the transparent sword in her hand instantly went forward to meet it. However, just as the two swords were about to collide, the woman felt a punch to her abdomen. Her body trembled slightly, and the transparent sword that she swung over-trembled for a moment. Her strength became much weaker, and the mournful double moon sword struck the transparent sword with all its might. A violent explosion occurred at the point where the two swords collided, and the woman was directly blown away, falling onto the cloud not far away. Speed, strength, skill. In these three categories, Su Yin actually had the upper hand. The woman crawled back up. She did not seem to have suffered any injuries. She wanted to fight again, but that person still disappeared. But at this moment, the sky suddenly darkened, and a huge shadow enveloped her. Chapter 1349. The lady frowned. She looked into the distance, only to see a gigantic eagle that completely covered the sky appearing above the thousand beyond skies. At that moment, the eagle's sharp eyes were staring at her coldly, as though it was looking at its prey. She frowned. Knowing that the current situation was not favorable for her to fight, she immediately retreated and laughed. Although you are unwilling to say your name, I believe that we will meet again. Her voice had a trace of undetectable coldness. It was obvious that Su Yun's attack had completely infuriated her, but she had no choice but to leave because the shadow that covered her was the shadow of the divine eagle race patriarch. At that moment, the divine eagle race patriarch had already transformed into his original form. His gigantic body was unknown how long and wide. When he spread his wings, people could no longer see the sky. The divine eagle race patriarch had already been attracted over. The lady did not dare to stay any longer. She chuckled and suddenly disappeared. Su Yin did not stop her from leaving. Since the other party did not want the nine-god wind heavenly beads, there was no need for him to chase after her. But just then, an incomparably furious hurricane suddenly appeared in the thousand beyond skies. Su Yin frowned. He looked up, only to see that the eagle that covered the sky had already started to flap its terrifying wings. An indescribable, astonishing wind blew out from its wings. The entire thousand beyond skies was already in a mess, and this gust of wind had completely turned the buildings in the thousand beyond skies into ashes. Countless of immortals in the thousand beyond skies were directly blown into pieces, and the stronger ones were also taken away by the wind. It was as though he wanted to purge the entire thousand beyond skies. Qian Tian and Sword God Yi Xiao rushed over. Seeing the divine eagle race patriarch's methods, the two of them did not dare to go forward. Su Yin did not dare to take the wind head-on, and immediately fled far away. As for Yang Zi and the rest of the divine eagle race, they were all hiding on top of the patriarch's head to avoid being injured by the terrifying wind. The strong wind lasted for about half an incense stick of time before stopping. At that moment, the entire thousand beyond skies had been razed to the ground. Regardless of whether it was the enchantment, buildings, or people, not a single one was left. The thousand beyond skies encampment was completely destroyed. Qian Tian looked at the scene and frowned. On the other side, Sword God laughed out loud. A mere thousand beyond heavens actually has such guts to go against the divine eagle clan and my immortal court. Now that the thousand beyond heavens no longer exists, let's see what else you can do to resist. Qian Tian, on account of the fact that you once served the immortal court, I order you to surrender now. Perhaps the immortal court will spare your life. Spare my life? Qian Tian snorted, the corner of his mouth curled up, and laughed. It's just a small thousand beyond heaven. It's fine if I lose it. Whether it's the 9 divine wind heavenly pearls or the encampment, I don't care. Since I've lost today, I have nothing to say. Divine eagle race, Lord Sword God, we will meet again. With that, Qian Tian was about to leave. When Sword God saw this, his expression turned cold, and he said ferociously, "You think you can run?" With that, his body turned into a cold light and chased after Qian Tian. Don't let that bastard go. When the people of the divine eagle tribe saw this, they immediately became anxious. They flapped their wings and were about to give chase. However, just as they moved, they were stopped by the divine eagle tribe patriarch. "Everyone come back!" A majestic voice resounded throughout the land. The people of the divine eagle clan stopped in their tracks and looked at the huge eagle. They saw the wind around the eagle. Then its body released a light blue light, and in a short while, it turned back into a human with 6 wings. "Patriarch!" The people of the divine eagle tribe gathered and greeted. "Father, are you okay?" Yangzi and the rest ran over, and Yangzi immediately jumped into the patriarch's embrace and asked anxiously, "I'm fine. On the other hand, you guys took back the 9 divine wind heavenly pearl for the divine eagle tribe. You guys have done a great service. You guys did well." The divine eagle tribe patriarch nodded and smiled at Yangzi and the rest. It was rare to see the patriarch smile, and seeing this scene, they were all excited. "Uncle Patriarch, although we are not strong, we are all from the divine eagle tribe. In such a dangerous situation, how can we retreat?" Shuiyu said with a smile. "If not for Elder Lin Yi, I'm afraid we wouldn't even have the chance to take back the 9 divine wind heavenly pearls from the hands of the woman in the black robe." The young chick said. These words caused many people to sink into sorrow. The divine eagle tribe patriarch was silent for a moment. "That's right. Elder Lin Yi used his body to block the woman in the black robe. In truth, the credit for taking back the 9 divine wind heavenly pearls should belong to him," Yangzi said softly, but then she thought of something and anxiously looked around, as if she was looking for someone. Seeing that, the divine eagle tribe patriarch immediately asked, "Yangzi, what are you looking at? Where's Big Brother Feiyun? Where is he?" Yangzi muttered, but after a few rounds, he still could not find any trace of Feiyun, and immediately shouted. Hearing this, Lying, Shuiyu, and the rest reacted. If not for Feiyun, forget about the 9 divine wind heavenly pearls. Even Yangzi and the rest would not have been able to keep their lives. Feiyun? Hearing that, the divine eagle tribe patriarch frowned. "It's Su Yun, Big Brother Su Yun." Yangzi immediately said, "Father, if not for Big Brother Su Yun's timely help in the nick of time, I'm afraid Yangzi would have already died under that woman's sword. Yes, that woman is too strong. It's all thanks to Big Brother Feiyun's timely help to repel that woman. If not, we would not have been able to defend the 9 divine wind heavenly pearls. I'm afraid Elder Lin, he would have sacrificed himself in vain." Lying also said, "That's right. Where's that expert? There's no sign of him. He seems to have left after defeating that woman." The other people from the Divine Eagle race also started to discuss. Hearing that, the Divine Eagle tribe patriarch started to think. Yangzi was a little absent-minded. Her expression was quiet. She originally had a stomach full of things to say to Su Yun, but that person came and left so suddenly, she did not even have the time to say it. "All right, since the 9 divine wind heavenly pearls have been taken back, let's return to Eagle Mountain. You guys clean up the battlefield and collect the corpses and souls of the eagle men who died in battle." The Divine Eagle tribe patriarch said indifferently. "Yes, sir." Everyone nodded, then dispersed and started to clean up the battlefield. Some of the corpses were blown far away, but luckily the Divine Eagle race people's speed was not slow, and with a few thousand of them working together, it was rather efficient. Very quickly, the corpses of the dead eagle men were all collected, and the souls that had not disappeared were also retrieved. The eagle men immediately flew into the sky, planning to leave this troublesome place. But before they could leave, a voice floated over from afar. "Hey, I say, Lord Clan Chief, please slow down." A voice floated over. The Divine Eagle race people all stopped in their tracks and looked to the side, only to see a person rushing over from afar. Looking over, it was actually the sword god who was chasing after Qiantian Yishao. "What advice does Lord Sword God have?" The Divine Eagle tribe patriarch said indifferently. "Oh, I don't dare to give advice. I just want to give everyone a suggestion." The sword god said with a smile. "Suggestion? What suggestion?" The Divine Eagle tribe patriarch frowned, but his wise and far-sighted eyes flashed with a strange luster, as if he had already guessed something. It's about the 9 heavenly wind, heavenly pearl that you guys just took back. Sword God smiled, looked at Yangzi, who was standing beside the divine eagle tri-patriarch, and said with a smile, "Although this item is good, it is a disaster and not a treasure. If this item is left in the divine eagle race's hands, Qiantian will definitely attack again." In the battle, just now, a large number of experts appeared in Thousand Beyond Heavens, and I feel that these people are not from Thousand Beyond Heavens. From this, it can be seen that there is an even more powerful force behind Thousand Beyond Heavens. Thousand Beyond Heavens is easy to deal with, but the force behind him is hard to say. If the Divine Eagle race wants to avoid trouble, I think it is safer to give the 9 heavenly wind, heavenly pearl to the immortal court. Otherwise, if it falls into the hands of the villain, the immortal world will be in a bloodbath. Hearing this, the Divine Eagle race people were furious. What bullshit are you talking about? The 9 heavenly wind, heavenly pearl is our Divine Eagle race's treasure. How can we give it to the immortal court? Lai Ying's temper was like a raging fire, and he shouted. However, the clan leader raised his hand, gesturing for everyone to stop talking. He looked at Sword God and said calmly, "Do you know why the other party isn't in a hurry to take back the 9 heavenly wind, heavenly pearl? Their goal is to use this pearl to incite a war between the Divine Eagle race and the immortal court. Then do you want to avoid this war? I don't want to hand over the pearl. As for the war, we don't care. If you want to fight, we'll fight." The clan leader immediately expressed his stance. It looks like after the battle with Thousand Beyond Heavens, we'll have to fight again." Sword God smiled, and his expression turned cold. If that's the case, then the Divine Eagle race will officially declare war on the immortal court today, the Divine Eagle race leader said without holding back. His roar could be said to have completely rebelled against the immortal court and become enemies with countless celestial sections. However, he was not afraid. The 9 heavenly wind, heavenly pearl was the Divine Eagle race's treasure, and it was worth their lives to protect it. Without this item, the Divine Eagle race would no longer be the Divine Eagle race. Sword God Yishao seemed to have expected such a situation. The smile on his face became even wider, and he directly drew his sword, preparing to snatch it back. However, at this moment, a figure suddenly flew over from afar. Lord Sword God, bad news, bad news." An anxious cry could be heard, and there was a hint of sobbing in it. Everyone's gaze was attracted by this voice, and they saw a person from the immortal court covered in blood, flying over shakily. Sword God Yishao frowned and stared at that person and asked, "What happened? Why are you still dawdling outside? Quickly let them come over and kill these people from the Divine Eagle race." "That they can't come over," that person cried. A lot of demons suddenly appeared outside. "Our people were all killed by the demons." After saying that, this person actually burst into tears. Sword God heard this and was instantly stunned. He turned his gaze and looked into the distance and saw that the sky had already darkened. Chapter 1350. Demon Dwellers? The people of Divine Eagle race were surprised, but the clan leader looked at Sword God calmly. "Looks like your immortal court will not be able to get the 9-god wind, heavenly pearl." A trace of malevolence appeared on Sword God's face, but he quickly calmed down. Although he was strong, the people he had brought with him had all been killed. It was impossible for him to deal with the experts of the Divine Eagle clan by himself. He immediately turned around and fled into the distance. Since Divine Eagle race has declared war on the immortal court, clan leader, please return to Eagle Mountain as soon as possible and prepare for war. The laws of the immortal world cannot be trampled, and the dignity of the immortal court cannot be blasphemed. The army of the immortal court will arrive at Eagle Mountain in a few days. By then, it will be useless for you to beg for mercy. As soon as he finished, Sword God leaped into the sky and turned into a red lightning. "You only know how to talk. Don't run if you dare." Lying did not forget to mock. On the other hand, when Yangzi heard the arrival of the devil cultivator, she quickly turned around and looked in the direction of the devil Qi. Her eyes became extremely sharp, and her pupils turned white. A moment later, She seemed to have seen something, and her originally disappointed face became filled with joy. She immediately flapped her wings and flew in that direction. Sister Yangzi, Yangzi. Everyone was shocked. They did not know what Yangzi was doing. Some people chased after her. Yangzi was very fast, and she flew towards the place with dense demon chi. The eagle men were scared out of their wits. The existence of demons in the immortal world was no longer secret. The fact that they were able to give the immortal court such a headache and take so long to get rid of them showed that they were not ordinary people. No one dared to look down on them, especially after what happened just now. Although the 300,000 elites of the immortal court, led by Sword God, fought a bloody battle with the people of Thousand Beyond Heavens, at least half of their combat strength was gone. However, in the short time that Sword God chased after Thousand Beyond Heavens, all of them were killed. What did that mean? It meant that the battle strength of the demon dwellers was much higher than 300,000, at least 600,000. Otherwise, they would not have been able to kill the people of the immortal court so quickly. The demon chi was getting thicker and thicker, and it was suffocating. As expected, when everyone rushed over, the scene in front of them was already a mass of darkness. The devil chi dyed the sky black, and in front of them were all devil cultivator-s wearing pitch black armor. Some of them were as big as a human, some were like small mountains, some had 2 heads, and some had extremely thick arms. However, no matter who it was, they all had a pair of blood-red eyes. When the eagle men approached, they all raised their heads at the same time and cast their incomparably cautious gazes towards the eagle men. The temperature here plummeted, and a murderous aura burst forth. The eagle men only felt an invisible pressure approaching them, but Yangzi didn't seem to feel it as he continued to fly towards the demons. Yangzi, come back. Sister Yangzi, danger, come back. The people of the eagle tribe shouted anxiously, all of them so nervous that they broke out in cold sweat. But what was surprising was that these demon dwellers only glanced at Yangzi and then went about their own business, continuing to clean up the battlefield. It was as if they had no interest in Yangzi at all. Seeing this scene, everyone was stunned. Weren't the devil dwellers all cruel and ruthless? Why did this group of devil dwellers completely ignore the people rushing over? It was as if they didn't feel any danger towards this eagle tribe at all. Yangzi anxiously flew in front of a man dressed in a black robe and holding a long sword, and started to chat with him. Her peaceful face revealed a smile that she hadn't seen in a long time. The man also raised his head and smiled as he spoke to Yangzi. Seeing the man, Lai Ying and the rest were all surprised. That person was none other than the big brother Fei Yun that they were familiar with. So it's him? Yangzi was born with sharp eyes. She must have discovered big brother Fei Yun. No wonder she ran so fast. Shui Yu and the rest laughed as they ran over. If Yangzi could see Su Yun, he would naturally be able to as well. Seeing that Yangzi and Su Yun were chatting, the divine eagle race patriarch did not stop them. He knew that the reason why Su Yun was helping the divine eagle race was because of Yangzi. After all, if not for Yangzi, he would not have been able to leave the divine eagle race so easily. Su Yun chatted with Yangzi for a while, then turned his gaze away from the divine eagle lord. Lord, congratulations. Your noble race has successfully taken back the 9 divine wind heavenly beads and has finally redeemed the reputation of the divine eagle race for many years. You will no longer become a laughingstock. Su Yun laughed and shouted, I never thought that your origins would be so extraordinary. It's just that, as a devil dweller, you have openly walked around in the immortal world and even attacked the people of the immortal court. Now, you have appeared in front of me. Could it be that you devil dweller are already unbridled and are already able to contend against this huge immortal world? The divine eagle lord stared at Su Yun with bright eyes and asked. Su Yun could naturally hear this kind of probing words. Fight against the immortal world? That's naturally impossible. As for the immortal court, they are only circling around. It's not time to fight them head-on. Su Yun's face revealed a relaxed smile and said, As for everyone from the divine eagle race, I do not think that the people from the divine eagle race are enemies. Oh, why do you say that? The enemy of my enemy is my friend. After today's matter, the divine eagle race and the immortal court have already gone against each other. The immortal court will not let the divine eagle race off, as long as they are still interested in the 9 divine wind heavenly beads. The divine eagle race is indeed very strong, but if they were to go against the immortal court, I'm afraid they are still a bit weaker. Then you think that we are friends? Maybe not in the past, but now we can be friends. Su Yun said, do you want our divine eagle race to be in cahoots with the devil dweller? The divine eagle lord frowned. Does the divine eagle race feel that it's shameful to be in cahoots with the devil dweller? The divine eagle lord thought for a moment, then said indifferently, in the 10,000 realms, the devil dweller is the most filthy, and those who are in cahoots with them are all despised by others. I do not understand you, devil dweller, very well, but if I were to join hands with you, my divine eagle race's 10,000 years of reputation would definitely be destroyed. What a filthy, what a spurned. Su Yin laughed out loud and said directly, but Lord, could it be that you have not seen it clearly? What is the difference between the current immortal court and the devil dweller that you are scolding? For the sake of benefits, the immortal court can use the most cruel methods to obtain it. For the sake of their own reputation, the immortal court can falsify everything and can destroy everything that is right. Should they be called immortals? Were they supposed to be respected by others? True cultivators shouldn't differentiate between immortals and devils, and true cultivators wouldn't use such eyes to differentiate between others. Today, I'm here because I don't wish to participate in the 3-way battle. However, I believe that the Divine Eagle Tribe and I might be able to become allies. We can help each other and fight against the immortal court together. Hence, I'm here. If Lord is truly unwilling to form an alliance with us, I will come here to clean up the mess. Everyone from the Divine Eagle race, just pretend that you did not see us. With that said, Su Yun continued to wave his hand, indicating for everyone to continue. The Lord was silent. The rest of the Divine Eagle race all turned to look at the Lord of the Divine Eagle race. Actually, Su Yun had repeatedly saved the Divine Eagle race, and all of them had seen it. Now that the Divine Eagle race had fallen out with the Immortal Court, the Divine Eagle race still hoped to have someone they could trust to help them. Su Yun's appearance was exactly what they wished for. Furthermore, the Divine Eagle race valued friendship. Since Su Yun had saved them, they believed in Su Yun. The Lord was a cautious person. While he was thinking, he was also paying attention to the expressions of the people around him. Seeing that Su Yun was staring at him seriously, he thought for a moment, then said, "This matter needs to be discussed at length. Allow me to return to the Eagle Mountain and discuss with the people in the clan, then I will give you an answer. If everyone from the Divine Eagle race is willing to advance and retreat with me, you can come to the Immortal Seeking Sect to find me." Su Yun said, "Immortal Seeking Sect?" The Divine Eagle race Lord frowned. Su Yun's seemingly casual words were actually an expression of sincerity. No one knew where the devil dweller hiding in the immortal realm was, but Su Yun's words had directly exposed his identity. He closed his eyes, took a deep breath, then leapt into the air and flew towards the horizon. An eagle cry sounded out, accompanied by the Divine Eagle Race Lord's voice. "I will seriously consider it. Even if we cannot form an alliance, I will not make you my enemy. After all, you saved Yangzi's life." With that said, he had already flown far away. The people from the Divine Eagle Race followed behind him. Seeing that, a look of reluctance flashed past Yangzi's eyes. She turned her head and looked at Su Yun. "Big brother, when can we meet again?" "Very soon." Su Yun laughed. "Quickly go back. Before long, we will definitely meet again." Hearing that, Yangzi nodded her head lightly. She unwillingly soared into the sky and flew into the distance. Su Yun looked at the people from the Divine Eagle Race. After they left, he turned his head and said to the people behind him, "All of you immediately bring people over there." Just now, when the Divine Eagle Race Lord used a technique, he blew a lot of resources from the 1,000 beyond heavens towards that direction. Sweep all the way. Take as much as you can. If you meet other immortals, run, understand? Yes, master. When the devil cultivator heard the voice, they all rushed forward. Su Yun's goal for coming here was not only to form an alliance with the divine eagle race. The most important thing was to obtain the wealth of the 1,000 beyond heavens. This was also a large amount of resources, but since the three parties did not care about it, he could only take advantage of it. Originally, Su Yun did not want to get involved in this mess, but after thinking about it carefully, he was moved by the many benefits. Forget about the resources of the 1,000 beyond heavens. The most important thing was that Su Yun could pull in an incomparably strong ally. This wave was not a loss, but what Su Yun was more concerned about was the strange 1,000 beyond heavens. The information he had was still too little. Chapter 1351. Although the immortal court had suffered from many attacks, their prestige in the immortal world had plummeted and their strength had decreased by a lot. But in terms of overall strength, they were still a superpower. Whether it was the divine eagle race or the 1,000 beyond heaven, they could not contend against them. The immortal court was still the giant of the immortal world, and this would not change just because of Su Yun's harassment. In the supreme shrine of the immortal court, the body of the immortal court's president floated in the shrine, as though he was cultivating. However, at this moment, the sound of footsteps came from outside the shrine. It was neither fast nor slow, and it was especially loud. A moment later, a figure appeared at the entrance of the shrine and called out, "Greetings, President. Come in and talk." A voice that was neither cold nor hot, neither light nor heavy, sounded from inside. "Thank you, President." Sword God Yi Shao stepped in. "How'd it go? The 1,000 beyond heaven has been destroyed, but there's an even stronger power behind the 1,000 beyond heaven. The 1,000 beyond heaven has already publicly decided to rebel against the immortal court and become enemies with us. In addition, the divine eagle race has taken away the 9 divine wind heavenly beads and also wants to become enemies with us. These two powers have already ignored the rules of the immortal world. I hope that the immortal court can decide how to deal with these two sections." Sword God Yi Shao knelt down on one knee and cupped his fist towards the man. The illusory figure of the immortal court's president swayed for a moment, and then a lotus print appeared in front of him. In the middle of the print, a dark green plate fell out, and with a bang, the plate fell to the ground. "Take this plate and head to the true demon realm. Let the true demon king immediately organize his army and enter the immortal world. In addition, gather all the teams that are searching for the devil cultivator and gather the army to attack the divine Eagle Mountain first, then destroy the 1,000 beyond heaven." His voice was light, but it was filled with killing intent. Hearing that, the sword god's expression stiffened. "Master, have you already subdued the true demon realm? But even so, we should not act immediately. These two powers are not simple. Furthermore, what if the people of the true demon realm attack us when we attack them? Now is not the time to think so much. The current situation of the immortal court is not optimistic, since the divine eagle race and the 1,000 beyond heaven have already openly fought against the immortal court. We can only destroy them at the first opportunity. If they form an alliance with the true demon realm, the threat to us will be even greater. Therefore, we have to end this quickly. Nip these potential threats in the bud." The blurry figure moved. However, the Divine Eagle clan is not easy to deal with. If the battle enters a stalemate, it will be extremely disadvantageous for us. For this trip to the Divine Eagle Mountain, I will personally go. At this moment, the blurry figure said. When Sword God heard this, his eyes lit up and he revealed a happy expression. He smiled and said, "If you do it yourself, it will be easy." With that, he clasped his fists together and left. Although the majority of the things in the 1,000 beyond heaven were scattered by the mystical eagle tribe leader's gale, and many of them were destroyed, Su Yun carried the mentality of picking up treasures to clean up the battlefield, forcefully allowing him to pick up treasures worth billions of immortal coins. Later on, the people from the 1,000 beyond heaven also came to clean up the battlefield, but Su Yun beat them to it and sent them back. After returning with a full load, Su Yun immediately ordered people to transport the goods to the secret encampment, while he himself meditated in the immortal seeking sect, waiting for news. The immortal world was in turmoil because of the immortal court. In order to obtain resources and support the various operations of the immortal court started to wantonly plunder. If it was said that in the past, they could only rely on the army to secretly act and did not dare to be too arrogant. But now, the immortal court was brazen, directly pinning a groundless crime, and started to forcefully plunder. In a moment, the immortal world was filled with complaints, and more immortals started to hate the immortal court. How could Su Yun let go of such a good opportunity? He immediately ordered Wei Ming to take the opportunity to recruit the immortals who had fallen out with the immortal court to expand his strength. There were too many devil cultivator in the immortal seeking sect, and it was inconvenient, but the Great Ling Long Palace was completely suitable. In a short span of 10 days, the Great Ling Long Palace's strength had increased by a few times. Although the sudden recruitment of so many disciples had caused Wei Ming to be extremely busy, Su Yun believed that in the future, these people would definitely be of great use. Su Yun had originally thought that this period of time would be the golden time for him to develop his power, but the unpredictable situation was always unexpected. Half a month later, the Immortal Court issued an order to exterminate them. However, this time, the order was not aimed at Su Yun, but at the Divine Eagle Mountain. The Immortal Court directly announced the collusion between the Divine Eagle Mountain and the Devil Cultivator in the Edict, and even rebelled against the immortal world, becoming enemies with the Immortal Court, calling for all the immortal sects in the immortal world to surround and attack the Divine Eagle Mountain. Although the Immortal Court's previous edicts had not allowed the immortal sects to gain any benefits, the Immortal Court's prestige had not been completely destroyed, and there were still many immortal sects that chose to lead their disciples to the Divine Eagle Mountain in order to curry favor with the Immortal Court. The Immortal Court also sent out their army. Su Yun had originally thought that it would be no different from attacking the Thousand Outer Heaven and would definitely send around 200,000 troops. However, when he heard the news from the spies, he was completely shocked. 800,000. The Immortal Court had sent out a total of 800,000. In other words, there were at least 1 million immortals attacking the Eagle Mountain. Although 1 million people was not a lot compared to the many wars that Su Yun had experienced in the past, but on the seemingly huge Eagle Mountain, all the Eagle Clan people added up did not even add up to 30,000 people. 1 million immortals against 30,000 Eagle men? Although the Divine Eagle race's individual strength was indeed very strong, but in terms of numbers, they had no chance of winning. Su Yun frowned, his heart sank. It was obvious that the Immortal Court had reached the point of desperation. They were worried that the Divine Eagle race would form an alliance with the other powers that resisted the Immortal Court, so they were in such a hurry to eliminate them. Firstly, to eliminate future troubles, and secondly, to show off their might to the immortal world. Actually, if it was him, he would have chosen to do the same, but Su Yun never expected the Immortal Court to make their move so quickly. After so many battles, could the people of the Immortal Court really endure such a high-pressure battle? The Divine Eagle race had to be protected. If he could form an alliance with the Divine Eagle race, Su Yun would definitely have the ability to fight against the Immortal Court head-on. Thinking about it, Su Yun's heart was burning with anxiety. He immediately called for Xiang Yang and shouted, "Immediately inform Kai Tian, Xingbai Ba Qi, Qin Xianlong, Wei Ming. Tell them to gather their army immediately. Quick!" Xiang Yang also knew that the Immortal Court was preparing to make a move against the Divine Eagle race, but he did not know why Su Yun was in such a hurry to gather his army. Su Luluo came over after hearing the news, and after knowing Su Yun's orders, he immediately understood his intentions. "Brother, are we going to fight against the Immortal Court head-on?" Su Luluo asked. "Now is not the time," Su Yun said. "If we fight against the Immortal Court head-on, the best outcome would be for both sides to suffer. At that time, any power can swallow us up. Then what does Big Brother want to do?" "Pressure," Su Yun said. "Luluo, I will have to trouble you to make a trip this time. Immediately go to the Divine Eagle Mountain and persuade the people of the Divine Eagle race to give up on the Eagle Mountain and temporarily retreat. I will let Faceless protect you." I believe that with your ability, you will definitely be able to successfully persuade those stubborn Eagle Clan people to leave the Eagle Mountain. Will the people of the divine Eagle race see me? Su Luluo shook his head. She also understood the divine Eagle race and knew that this powerful family had never been interested in outsiders. I'll see you. Su Yun gave the sect leader's order badge to her and said seriously, just say that you are the sister of the sect leader Su Yun, and the patriarch of the divine Eagle race will definitely meet you. Hearing that, Su Luo's eyes became absent-minded. A look of joy flashed across her originally indifferent face. She gently received the order badge and then held it tightly in her hands. Looking at the order badge for a while, she nodded seriously and then turned to leave. The Immortal Court's swift and fierce actions were truly unexpected to Su Yun. In the battle with the Thousand Beyond Heaven, the Immortal Court had already lost close to 300,000 fighting strength. How could they possibly gather another 800,000 people? Where was the Immortal Court? If the Immortal Court were to go all out, they would definitely be able to gather 800,000 people. However, if they were to go all out, what would happen to the Immortal Court's headquarters? If Su Yun chose to launch a sneak attack at this time, what could they use to defend against it? Su Yun did not understand at all. In the past 2 days, he had been feeling extremely anxious in the immortal-seeking sect. After thinking for a long time, he still could not understand what the Immortal Court was trying to do. However, he was also waiting. He was waiting for news from a person. On the 4th day, the news from the Immortal Courts, Xiao Chua, finally arrived at the immortal-seeking sect. The messenger said a bunch of things, but from start to finish, Su Yun only heard one sentence. The immortal gate of the immortal world opened wide, and countless people from the true demon realm poured in. They seemed to have reached an agreement with the people of the Immortal Court. Under the leadership of the Sword God, they headed straight for the divine Eagle Mountain. All the immortals they met along the way were killed by them. The true demon realm had intervened. Moreover, they were completely on the side of the Immortal Court. Su Yun never dreamed that the Immortal Court would actually have such a low-key and powerful external aid, like the true demon realm. In these past few years, Su Yun had never heard any news about the true demon realm. The Immortal Court had truly hidden this power very deeply. Wait, he seemed to have thought of something, and his expression suddenly turned ugly. If the Sword God had led the army of the true demon realm, then who was leading the Immortal Court army that attacked the Eagle Mountain? The leader of the army? Impossible. There was no news of the intervention of the army. Furthermore, the leader of the army could not contend against the leader of the divine Eagle race. Even if he was lucky enough to delay until the arrival of the Sword God, he was afraid that with just the Sword God alone, he could not do anything to the leader of the divine Eagle race. Then who could it be? Su Yun's pupils dilated, and his heart beat wildly a few times. An unbelievable thought flashed through his mind. There were indeed many experts in the Immortal Court, but there were only a few people who could fight against the leader of the divine Eagle race. If the Immortal Court was planning to stake everything on one throw and completely destroy the divine Eagle race, then they must be fully prepared and have full confidence. In that case, the leader of the Immortal Court army this time was most likely the Immortal Court's chief judge. Chapter 1352. The true demon realm was the same as the true devil realm. They were both the ultimate power of the demon realm, the birthplace of the 10,000 demons. Although the demon realm that Su Yun fought with in the Sky Martial Continent was powerful there, compared to the true demon realm, it was nothing. It was said that the history of the true demon realm's development was even longer than the true devil realms. Demons were ever-changing, formless, and formless. Some people once said that everything in this world was not created by the God of creation, but by the so-called demons. Humans could be demons, and demons could be all living things. However, there are thousands of words in the world, and they could be trusted or not. The true demon realm had always been known for keeping a low profile and had never participated in any disputes. Compared to the immortal world's sworn enemy, the true demon realm had not been slandered recently, so its reputation was not bad. The immortals did not hate the demons too much. but there would still be some conflict. After all, demons and devils were evil and filthy existences in their subconscious. But no matter what the true demon realm looked like in the eyes of the immortals, at least the immortal court should not brazenly mix with them. Otherwise, the immortal court's reputation and status in the immortal world would definitely not exist. Su-yin thought that the immortal court would definitely not admit it on the surface when they found the true demon realm as their helper, but they were secretly colluding with each other. At this critical juncture, if the immortal court still did not reveal their trump card, they would not have a chance. If the true demon realm were to participate, Eagle Mountain would definitely not be able to be saved. Not only that, Su-yin would not be able to make a move. With these few powers, even if Su-yin went all out, he would definitely be extinguished, and in the end, he would completely collapse. However, Su Luluo had already headed to Eagle Mountain, and the army was gathering. He could not possibly give up on Eagle Mountain just like that, right? He thought about it, but did not know what to do. But at this moment, he suddenly thought of something and immediately rushed out of the immortal seeking sect's door and flew out. The involvement of the true demon realm caused the entire immortal world to boil. Under the protection of the experts of the immortal seeking sect, Su Luluo successfully arrived at the divine Eagle Mountain after a few days. Today's divine Eagle Mountain was very different from before. From afar, the entire Eagle Mountain was colorful and beautiful. However, these halos were all emitted by the barrier around Eagle Mountain. Eagles and eaglemen flew around Eagle Mountain, and their cries rose and fell. Su Luluo paused, then led the people of the immortal seeking sect towards Eagle Mountain. Stop right there. The people of Divine Eagle Race discovered these uninvited guests from afar and immediately shouted. 10 eaglemen rushed over and surrounded Su Luluo and the rest with lightning speed. Who are you people? What are you doing here? An eagleman shouted. Su Luluo's expression did not change. He looked around, then took out the order badge that Su Yun gave her, raised it up high, and shouted, I am the sister of the sect leader of the One Xian sect, Su Luluo. Today, I am here to represent my brother Su Yun, to meet with the noble patriarch, to discuss an important matter. I hope that everyone can quickly pass the message. Immortal seeking sect? The eagle men looked at each other. The clan chief said that if the people from the immortal seeking sect arrive, we can't neglect them. They are honored guests. At this moment, an eagle man came from behind and shouted at the eagle men. Everyone was taken aback. After looking at each other in dismay, they put away their weapons and dispersed. The eagleman flew over and cupped his fist towards Su Luluo and the rest, then said, The Lord is already waiting inside. Please follow me in. Hearing that, Su Luluo knew that the divine eagle lord had already guessed that he would come. He nodded and followed inside. The interior of the Eagle Mountain had already entered a state of full alert, and one could see fully armed divine eagle race people everywhere. They were pacing back and forth inside the mountain, guarding against any enemies that might appear at any time. Su Luluo carefully walked forward, and not long after, he was brought to a gigantic building that looked like a nest. Patriarch, he's here. That person called out towards the inside. Let her in. Yes. The man nodded, then made a gesture of invitation to Su Luluo. Su Luluo's face was calm as he stepped in. The people sitting inside were all the elders and experts of the divine eagle race. They were all sitting cross-legged on mats that looked like grass nests. All of them had sturdy bodies. Even the females looked especially tall and sturdy, with pairs of huge wings gently flapping behind their heads, giving off a formless sense of majesty and oppression. In the end, it was still an ancient clan. Even though it was no longer as prosperous as it was in the past, it did not lose the demeanor of a strong warrior. Su Luluo indifferently swept his gaze across the people present. He did not reveal any nervousness, even though everyone here was many times stronger than her. Su Luluo greets the Eagle clan. She bowed to the handsome six-winged man who was sitting on top of her. Su-yin asked you to come? The Lord asked directly. Yes. Is it about the alliance? No. She shook her head. Big Brother thinks that there is no need to discuss the alliance in detail. He sent me here to advise everyone that the Eagle Mountain is difficult to defend, so I hope that everyone can quickly leave the Eagle Mountain and avoid the Blade Calamity. Suyin wants us to give up the Eagle Mountain. The divine Eagle Lord frowned and said, "Yes." Su Luluo nodded without any trace of politeness. As soon as he finished speaking, the people around him revealed looks of displeasure, and the atmosphere around them became oppressive. This girl really didn't know how to actually speak so bluntly. Everyone thought, "I thought you were here to support us, but I never thought that you would actually advise us to retreat. There is no one in our divine Eagle clan who will retreat without a fight." A white-haired eagleman snorted and said, "That's right. Although the Immortal Court has sent people to kill us, don't forget that our divine eagle race isn't easy to bully. Although we are outnumbered, we aren't afraid of them. It's still uncertain who will emerge victorious." Someone else said, "If we don't fight, how can we know victory or defeat?" Yes, the surroundings were filled with objections. From these words, Su Luluo could tell that the Divine Eagle clan were all warmongers. She took a deep breath and said indifferently, "I know that the people of the Divine Eagle clan are not afraid of the Immortal Court, nor are they afraid of this war. Actually, not only me, my brother also knows, but whether or not this war should be fought is not based on your courage, but rather on your long-term vision." As she spoke, her gaze landed on the Lord of the Divine Eagle clan, and she said indifferently, "It's just that the current war is not beneficial to the Divine Eagle clan. You must know the reason why the Immortal Court wants to make a move on the Divine Eagle clan is because of the 9 Divine Wind heavenly beads. Liua's cultivation is low, and his eyesight is not good. He does not know what kind of treasure the 9 Divine Wind heavenly beads is, but Luo knows the Immortal Court has been eyeing this treasure for so many years. It must have an extraordinary effect. Then, other than the Immortal Court, there must be other hidden powers eyeing this treasure. For example, the 1,000 beyond heaven. Qian Tian is not dead. His power is still there. Is the Divine Eagle clan not worried that Qian Tian will suddenly stab him in the back?" With that said, the people of the Divine Eagle clan looked at each other. The person who had said that he was not afraid of the Immortal Court had also shut his mouth. The Lord of the Divine Eagle clan looked at Su Luluo, and Su Luluo also looked at him. The current Divine Eagle clan can already be said to be openly opposing the Immortal Court. Although the Immortal Court's actions during this period of time are infuriating, but everyone, do not forget, the Immortal Court has ruled the immortal world for so long, and its prestige cannot possibly collapse in an instant. There are still many immortal sects that are afraid of the Immortal Court and want to curry favor with the Immortal Court. These immortal sects will listen to the Immortal Court, and the power of the Immortal Court is still the strongest in the immortal world. If the Divine Eagle clan and the Immortal Court continue to be in a stalemate, they will definitely not be able to obtain any benefits. If we temporarily avoid the brunt of the attack and advance hand in hand with my brother, we will definitely be able to form a power that will cause the Immortal Court to tremble in fear. After we lie low for a period of time, recuperate, and make all preparations, we will overthrow the Immortal Court in one fell swoop. At that time, even if Eagle Mountain is lost, we can take it back. Not only that, we can also end the false laws of the immortal world for so many years and end the tyranny of the Immortal Court. Wouldn't that be even better? Su Luluo said unhurriedly. Although he did not say much, but every word he said was on point, causing people to have no choice but to pay attention to it. When everyone heard this, they fell into deep thought. However, the clan leader didn't remain silent any longer. He stood up and paced back and forth twice before saying, "If we leave Eagle Mountain, we will have nowhere to hide. Although the immortal world is vast, we won't be able to hide. Moreover, there are countless barriers around Eagle Mountain that were built by our ancestors. They won't be broken easily. Once we leave Eagle Mountain, we will have nowhere to defend, and our losses will be even greater. Have you considered this?" "I have my own considerations," Su Luluo said. "My brother has already arranged a place for you. There, you don't have to worry about the invasion of the Immortal Court." "Where?" "We'll know when we get there. In short, it won't be the immortal-seeking sect." The patriarch didn't say anything else. He lowered his head and pondered. After a moment, he said, "Gather everyone immediately, announce this matter, and then leave." Patriarch, the divine Eagle Clan members on both sides stood up and shouted nervously, "Are we really going to give up Eagle Mountain just like that? This is our route. No, we can't give up Eagle Mountain just like that." The scene seemed to have exploded into an uproar. "If we don't give up, will we be able to hold on?" The patriarch of the divine eagle race shook his head. "Forget about the disparity in strength. Even if we can barely hold on, I am afraid that we will suffer heavy casualties. I cannot let the people of the divine eagle race fight with the immortal court for nothing. But is it too late for us to retreat now?" The white-haired eagleman from before said anxiously, "There are countless treasures left behind by our ancestors on Eagle Mountain. If we retreat now, wouldn't we be giving all these treasures to the people of the immortal court?" "Don't worry about that," the patriarch said indifferently. "I have already ordered people to clean up the entire Eagle Mountain and have already brought all the important things. Previously, I had planned to retreat if I couldn't win, but since the people of the Immortal Seeking sect are in alliance with us and are bringing us to retreat, then we don't have to persist." Hearing that, everyone was speechless. Seeing that, Sulialoa's heart finally relaxed. This time, he had completed his mission. Chapter 1353. The people of the Divine Eagle race were preparing to leave, which was naturally the best thing for Suliluo. Since the Divine Eagle race leader had already decided to leave, he could not hesitate any longer, and the higher-ups of the Divine Eagle race immediately started to get busy. Even though many of the Divine Eagle race people were shocked when they heard the news, they did not dare to disobey the orders given by the patriarch, and could only follow his orders. The guards at the periphery of the Divine Eagle race started to withdraw one by one. There were originally spies from the Immortal Court in the surroundings, but no matter how they hid, they could not escape the powerful eyes of the Divine Eagle race. The spies were captured and destroyed one by one, and the Immortal Court did not know what the Divine Eagle race was doing, so their retreat was naturally silent. Fortunately, there were not many Divine Eagle race people, and they were all very strong and fast. In less than half an incense worth of time, the Divine Eagle race people were already waiting for orders, ready to leave at any time. "Patriarch, are we leaving just like that? Why don't we set up a trap in Eagle Mountain, and when the Immortal Court comes, we will fall into the trap and make them suffer?" someone suggested. But the patriarch immediately rejected it. "No need. This is our home after all. We will return to this place in the future." His voice was very determined, but it made many Eagle race people's confidence increase. This retreat did not mean that they had given up. "All right, there's no need to say anymore. Let's go," Sululuo said. "Then, Miss Su, please lead the way," the Divine Eagle race leader said. Sululuo nodded, then flew towards the outskirts of Eagle Mountain. "Wait, Patriarch!" Just as the Divine Eagle race people were about to leave, a voice suddenly came out, stopping everyone. Everyone looked towards the source of the voice, only to see a red feather eagleman leading a few other eaglemen with the same color of feathers squeezing in, stopping the eaglemen who were about to leave. "Elder Lai, didn't I send someone to inform you to prepare to leave? What other questions do you have?" The Divine Eagle race leader looked at the red feather eagleman and said. It turned out that the eagleman was Lai Ying's father, the newly promoted elder of the Divine Eagle race, Lai Tianyu. "Father, you don't need to patrol the Eagle Mountain anymore. The patriarch has already decided to leave the Eagle Mountain. Let's leave quickly. Otherwise, when the people from the Immortal Court arrive, we won't be able to leave." Lai Ying, who was standing in the crowd, immediately stood out and said, "Shut up." Lai Tianyu glared at Lai Ying before turning his gaze towards the patriarch. His voice was filled with rage as he said, "Patriarch, I've already heard about this matter. A girl who came out of nowhere came to our Divine Eagle race to spread lies and mislead the masses. Just because she spouted a few words of nonsense, we have to believe it? Who said that our Divine Eagle race can't defeat the Immortal Court? I think so. Our Divine Eagle race is not a coward. Why should we give up on Eagle Mountain? If we give up on Eagle Mountain, we will have nothing left. Once this matter spreads, where will our divine eagle tribes face go? How are we going to establish ourselves in the immortal world? Elder Lai, I know what you mean. However, you should calm down and think about it. The current Divine Eagle clan is not as glorious as it was in the past. It is not suitable for us to engage in a bloody battle. Furthermore, we have no chance of winning against the immortal court. Furthermore, there is no need for us to fight against them. Patriarch, are you afraid of the immortal court? Lai Tianyu harumphed. His tone caused the people around him to be unable to bear it. Elder Lai, what kind of attitude is this? The Patriarch naturally has his own arrangements. How can you have any objections? He is harming the divine eagle race. Lai Tianyu seemed somewhat agitated. Then how are we going to save the divine eagle race? Fight against the immortal court? An elder rushed forward and grabbed Lai Tianyu's collar as he said angrily. Lai Tianyu was stunned for a moment. His expression was somewhat strange. He shook off the elder's hand and swept his gaze across the surrounding eagle men. He then shouted loudly, I don't care if you are greedy for life or afraid of death. However, I want to tell you that I, Lai Tianyu, am not afraid. The people of the divine eagle race have never been afraid of anything. If you want to escape, then hurry up and escape. I will stay behind to guard Eagle Mountain. His grand and heroic words caused many eagle men who had the intention to retreat to hesitate. Su Luluo frowned. He felt that things were not going as smoothly as he had imagined. Lai Tianyu swept his gaze across the surrounding divine eagle clan members and shouted with a loud voice, I don't believe it. Other than me, the rest of the divine eagle clan are afraid of the immortal court. I will ask once more. Those who are not afraid of death, stand out. At this critical juncture, his shout seemed to have stirred up the emotions of many eagle men present. All of their faces flushed red. They wanted to say something, but did not dare to. At this moment, a figure walked out from the crowd. Lying, he directly stood in front of the Patriarch and bowed respectfully to him, saying, Patriarch, the person Lai Ying respects the most, other than father, is you. You are the guardian of our divine eagle race, and all these years, if not for you leading our divine eagle race, we might have been exterminated by those people with ulterior motives. But, even so, Lai Ying still supports father, because father is right. The people of the divine eagle race should not be cowardly and weak. No matter how strong the enemy is, we should not retreat. Isn't that right? Lai Ying's words were like a fuse, instantly igniting the fire in the hearts of many divine eagle race members present. In an instant, the eagle men could not hold it in any longer and stood out. Patriarch, we are not willing to leave just like that. We will stay and guard Eagle Mountain. Patriarch, shouts came out, all of them anxiously expressing their determination. The scene was a little chaotic. The divine eagle race's face darkened. He did not say a word. Su Luluo frowned, his expression extremely ugly. He had originally thought that the matter had been settled, but he did not expect such an accident to happen, and there was still Lai Tianyu. The Patriarch stared at Lai Tianyu for a moment, as if he had made some sort of decision. He took a deep breath and said to an elder beside him, Elder Xiang, I'll have to trouble you to bring these disciples who are willing to leave and follow this Miss Su back to Eagle Mountain. Patriarch, what are you going to do? I'll stay, the Patriarch said indifferently. The moment he said that, everyone was shocked. Patriarch, cries of alarm resounded in all directions. Father, if you want to stay, then I'll stay too. Yangzi squeezed through the crowd and ran to the Patriarch's side, asking anxiously, I'm staying because I want to fulfill my duty as the Patriarch, not because of anything else. All of you are leaving to continue my divine eagle race. I cannot abandon these eagle race people and ignore them. If not, how can I explain it to my ancestors? And you, as a descendant of the divine eagle race, you have to do your duty. Yangzi, quickly go. Don't hesitate. Time waits for no one. The divine eagle race said in a low voice. Hearing that, Yangzi's eyes were filled with tears. Hearing that, Su Yilua's eyes lit up. The Patriarch of the divine eagle race's move was brilliant, although his words could not save the divine eagle race people. but at least he had consolidated his position in the divine eagle race. It was unknown if he was doing it on purpose or not. She looked outside, thought for a moment, and said, "Patriarch, there's not much time left. Let's leave quickly. If the people from the immortal court come, it will be too late. There's no time to lose. Elder Xiong, quickly take your people and leave." The patriarch bellowed. "Patriarch!" Everyone wanted to persuade him again. But before they could say anything, the patriarch sternly shouted, "No one is to persuade him anymore. Quickly leave." What? Could it be that you want to disobey the patriarch's orders? This accusation of disobeying the patriarch's orders left many people at a loss for what to do. Everyone opened their mouths, but in the end, no one said anything. Elder Xiong sighed and cupped his fist towards Su Luluo. "Miss Su, please lead the way." Su Luluo nodded and then walked out. The other eagle race people followed. Lai Tianyu's eyes swayed, as though he wanted to say something, but before he could say anything, the patriarch spoke again. "Elder Lai, since you want to stay, then I will stay with you to guard the Eagle Mountain, but I hope that if we are no match for you, you can retreat in time. Nothing is more important than preserving your lives, and only by living can you regain everything, even the glory and honor of the divine eagle race." Hearing that, Lai Tianyu secretly snorted and did not say anything else. With the patriarch of the divine eagle race's words, not many people stayed behind. Although things did not go as well as he had expected, Su Luluo felt that the interior of the divine eagle race was not simple. The speed of the people from the divine eagle race was extremely fast. Su Luluo raised his own speed to the limit, but these people could still easily keep up. Very quickly, this group of eagle race people left the Eagle Mountain. Hiss hiss. At this moment, a strange sound came from afar. Everyone stopped and looked over, only to see that the sky in the distance was already dark green. A large amount of dark green, silky qi danced in the sky like poisonous snakes. Seeing that, Elder Xiong's face changed. "This is demonic energy? Demonic energy?" Su Luluo was shocked. Why would the immortal realm have demonic energy? Are there demons? How could anyone be careless? He immediately hid himself and stared into the distance. After a while, dark green figures appeared in the sky. A large number of people whose bodies were glowing with a green light flew over from afar. They were dressed in armor and holding war flags as they quickly rushed over. From afar, they looked like a huge green cloud. The demonic beasts that could topple mountains and overturn the seas were like a wave sweeping towards them. It was magnificent and majestic. Demon. It was indeed a spirit demon. Everyone looked on in a daze. How many spirit demons were there? They were densely packed and countless. They are heading for the Eagle Mountain. So many spirit demons. Are you going to attack the Eagle Mountain? This is bad. The patriarch is in danger. We should return to the Eagle Mountain immediately. Otherwise, the Eagle Mountain will definitely be destroyed by the spirit demons. Quick, let's go back quickly and inform the patriarch and the others to set up their defenses. An anxious voice came out. Hearing that, Su Luluo's face changed. He shouted, "No." Chapter 1354. Seeing that the Eagle Men had the urge to return, Su Luluo anxiously shouted, "We must not go back, otherwise Eagle Mountain will definitely be annihilated." Could it be that you want us to watch as Eagle Mountain is trampled by the spirit demon? One of them shouted. The rest of the people all looked at Elder Xiong, who didn't say a word. Elder Xiong lowered his head in thought, as if he was considering something. After a moment, he raised his head and said with an unquestionable tone, "Everyone, listen up, continue to follow Miss Su. Without my order, no one is allowed to return to Eagle Mountain, or else they will be regarded as traitors." Elder, why is this so? Some people were unconvinced. Most of them were from the younger generation of the Eagle clan. All of them had agitated expressions on their faces. Their expressions were filled with unwillingness, and they were especially indignant. Why? Don't you understand yet? Without waiting for Elder Xiong to speak, Su Luluo shouted, "Wake up! Look at the situation clearly. Could it be a coincidence that so many spirit demon-s had suddenly appeared in the immortal world, and at such a critical moment? Previously, I had received news that the Immortal Court was preparing to attack Eagle Mountain and exterminate the Eagle Men. But now, the ones who came are not the people of the Immortal Court, but these spirit demon-s. These spirit demon-s. They must be in cahoots with the Immortal Court. What? Su Yulua's words instantly stunned the impulsive Eagle Men. The Immortal Gate is already controlled by the Immortal Court. How did so many spirit demon-s enter the immortal world? And why did they head straight for Eagle Mountain? Haven't you thought about all of this? The Divine Eagle race is indeed powerful, but in my opinion, the Divine Eagle race are mostly people with courage but no brains that Lai Tianyu is, and so are you. Sometimes, the way to display courage is not to use your weak self to challenge a strong existence. Other than courting death, it will not bring you anything else. The so-called honor, I'm afraid, will not be able to save anything. Only by living will there be endless possibilities. Su Luluo seemed to be too lazy to say anymore. After saying that, she turned and flew into the distance. Elder Xiang did not hesitate and immediately followed. Some of the Eagle Men also followed, while the other Eagle Men looked at each other in dismay, seemingly hesitating. In the end, everyone still followed, and no one argued about returning to Eagle Mountain. Actually, with the Eagle race's speed, if they wanted to escape, no one would be able to catch up. Many people did not expect that the demons would suddenly intervene in the immortal world. The true demon world had always been low-key and did not participate in anything. Why would they intervene in the matter between the Immortal Court and the Divine Eagle Clan? Su Yun was puzzled, but he understood that if he did not take any action now, then the enemies he faced would be even greater. If the Divine Eagle race retreated in time, there would still be a chance to salvage the situation. However, if they did not retreat, the gods and Buddhas would not be able to reverse the situation. Outside the Immortal Seeking sect, the people from several immortal sects had all gathered. Even the power of the Devil Cultivator, Hidden Dragon Hall, and Carefree Palace in the encampment were all called over by Su Yun. There were millions of people. This power was enough to shake the entire immortal world. Qin Xianlong, Kai Tian, Wei Ming, Xing Bai, and Xiang Yang all stood in front, with countless disciples behind them. Hu Qianmei stood at the side. The people from Jiangyun Palace did not come over, because he had not completely brainwashed them. Su Yun was not sure if any of them would betray him, but for the sake of insurance, Su Yun did not plan to use them, and furthermore, these people were enough. Looking at the crowd in front of him, Su Yun had the urge to swallow the mountains and rivers. Many people did not understand the purpose of this gathering. Many of them were just newly recruited people and did not understand Su Yun's power very well. However, he could guarantee that the people standing here were not people from the Immortal Court. However, many people did not know that there were Devil Cultivator-s among them. At this point, there was no need to hide it anymore. It was time to tell these people everything. Do you know who I am? Su Yun shouted loudly. Su Yun, Master Su. I know. The sect leader of the Immortal Seeking sect. I know. However, many immortals looked at each other in dismay. They did not know who the person in front of them was. Most of these people had just joined and did not even know anything about the relationship between the various immortal sections. Su Yun took a deep breath, and his voice that was full of energy came out again. My name is Su Yun. Many of you have heard of me and know me, but most of you know nothing about me. Now, I will tell you my identity. His expression was solemn and serious. I am an ordinary person from the Sky Martial Continent, but I have many identities. One of them is that you will never imagine, and that is my identity as the Demon Lord. That's right. I am also the Demon Lord of the true Devil Realm. As soon as these words were said, the scene immediately boiled over. Some people knew that there were many Devil Cultivator-s around them, but there were also people who did not know because the person in charge of their sects had not brainwashed them yet. Most of the people's expressions became strange. Some were surprised, some were stunned, some were confused, and some were puzzled. Many of their minds were blank, as if they could not accept this shocking news. However, all of this was no longer important. Su Yun believed that the people of the immortal world would no longer use immortals or demons to determine good or bad. They had eyes and could tell right from wrong. Other than my identity as the true Devil Realm's demon lord, I am also the sect master of the immortal seeking sect, the Eight Harmonies sect, the Great Ling Long Palace, the Carefree Hall, and the Hidden Dragon Hall. In fact, these few powers are a whole, and not a separate existence. From today onwards, no matter which immortal sect is wronged, the other immortal sects will not sit idly by, because I will not allow my people to be bullied by anyone. Do you understand? His words were very domineering, but it was his style of doing things. Many people were excited. They did not expect Su Yun's power to be so great. It must be known that the few immortal sects here were all famous great immortal sects. Of course, this is for the future. Today, I have gathered everyone here because I have an important matter to announce. This matter might affect the future of the immortal world and even the 10,000 realms. Hearing this, the people below all looked at each other and whispered to each other. Su Yun did not waste any time. Time was of the essence, and he did not have much time to waste. The latest news is that the Immortal Court plans to send troops to clear out the divine Eagle Mountain. Many people should already know about this, right? However, you definitely did not expect that when the people of the Immortal Court were about to attack the divine Eagle Mountain, the true demon realm had already sent an army straight towards the divine Eagle Mountain. As the sound of his voice faded, the entire place fell silent. Su Yun glanced at the scene and continued. The Immortal Gate has always been controlled by the people of the Immortal Court, but the people of the true demon realm are able to jump through the Immortal Gate so easily and enter the Immortal Realm. This is enough to show that the true demon realm and the Immortal Court are in cahoots. This time, the true demon realm has become the Immortal Court's lackey to attack the Immortal Eagle Mountain. As for why the Immortal Court wants to attack the divine Eagle Mountain, perhaps not everyone knows. I will tell everyone. Their goal is still the treasure of the divine Eagle clan, the 9 divine wind heavenly beads. During this period of time, the Immortal Court has been attacking the surrounding immortal sects very frequently. Their goal is to obtain the resources of these immortal sects, and the current Immortal Court has already reached an extremely crazy state. For the sake of their goals, they can do anything, and if they do not achieve their goals, they will not stop. For the sake of resources, for their own benefits, they have already begun to plunder everywhere with groundless crimes. The weak immortal sects are simply unable to resist the iron hooves of the Immortal Court, and this time, they have set their sights on the divine Eagle Mountain. I have said so much not to express anything. All of you have the ability to distinguish right from wrong. Are the actions of the Immortal Court all these years really to maintain the peace of the immortal world? Can their current actions really be hidden from the eyes and ears of the people? As he said that, he suddenly pulled out the double moon sword and raised it high up. Today, I stand here, not as the true Devil Realm's demon lord, nor as the dragon head of the 5 great immortal sects, but as a person who cannot be suppressed or threatened. Regardless of whether it is a devil, an immortal, or immortal, everyone should have their own freedom. No one can restrict them. No one can restrict them. Today, I am willing to lead you all to overthrow the Immortal Court, to flatten this rotten system, and to shatter this unfair world. Together, we will build a brand new world that only belongs to freedom. This is a path of no return. I will not force you now. Give me an answer. Those who are willing to go with me, stay where you are. Those who are not willing to participate in this matter, leave. He spoke at the top of his lungs, and countless pairs of eyes gathered on him. Hu Qianmei, Qin Qianlong Xingbai. Everyone's gazes were like sharp swords. After the voice that reverberated through the world spread out in all directions, the scene completely quietened down. Now, it was as if any needle that fell to the ground could make a violent sound. Su Yun opened his eyes wide, his heart beating wildly as he looked at the people in front of him. This was the time to reveal his cards, and this was also the decisive time. He could not deceive these immortals for the rest of his life, and since he had chosen to fight alongside them, he had to be aware of it. If they could not be of one mind, no matter how many people Su Yun had, they would not be a match for the Immortal Court. The scene was terrifyingly quiet. He could see that everyone's face was filled with astonishment and astonishment. Su Yun's words were too shocking. It was hard for them to digest. And the action he had proposed would definitely not be a smooth sailing operation. If he was not careful, he would lose his life. Who would recklessly gamble with their lives just because they were hot-blooded? After waiting for a long time, no one said anything. Su Yun's face turned slightly pale. Chapter 1355. This was the time to express his stance, because Su Yun's operation this time was against the immortal court, against the highest judicial department of the immortal world. This was a challenge to his authority, and was completely different from the other immortal sects that Su Yun had attacked in the past. If he did not express his stance in advance, many people would be afraid of the battle, and when they found out that the target this time was the immortal court, many people would be afraid of the battle, and if someone were to escape, Su Yun's army would definitely be ashamed of themselves. He looked at the people in the crowd. The devil cultivator-s did not move at all. They stood in their original positions. The people who had stayed in the immortal seeking sect since the beginning would not speak at this time. The scene was still eerily quiet, and everyone's breathing could be heard. Su Luluo and the rest all looked at the densely packed crowd in front of them. The men and women in the crowd were all silent, as though they were waiting for something. But at this moment, a voice suddenly sounded out, breaking the silence. He was dressed very simply, and his cultivation was not high. He belonged to the great Ling Long Palace, and seemed to be a new disciple. He held onto a long sword, and although his aura was not strong, his expression was extremely serious. Lord Su, I am willing to follow you to the immortal court, to trample on that unfair world, and to pursue the truth of freedom. His voice was not very loud, but at this time, everyone present could hear him clearly. Su Yun looked over. I am a new disciple of the great Ling Long Palace. Many of you might not know me, but I want to say here, before I entered the great Ling Long Palace, I was once a disciple of the Sacred Mark Gate. I wonder if everyone has heard of the Sacred Mark Gate? That's right, 4 months ago, the ancient sect that was completely annihilated by the immortal court and completely razed to the ground. The man became excited, and his voice became louder and louder. St. Mark Gate is not a big sect, nor does it have a long history. However, everyone in this sect is like my family. I don't care how powerful their cultivation is or how rich they are. I only know that they taught me how to see the way of my life clearly and guided me to the right path of cultivation. But now, all of them have been killed by the people of the immortal court, but it's just because of a St. Mark grass left by the ancestor of St. Mark Gate. For a mere worldly possession, they killed everyone in St. Mark Gate. If it wasn't for Master's protection, I wouldn't have been able to escape at all. The immortal court's despicable and vicious methods were shameful. They were even less worthy of being the judicial authority of the immortal world. So, Lord Su, I'm willing to go with you. Even if everyone else here doesn't go, and it's just the two of us, I'm not afraid. His last sentence was practically a roar. This kind of existence that was just a step away from the profound God actually said such words in public. If he was not crazy, then the obsession in his heart was too strong. Su Yun looked at the man, his pale face revealing a trace of gratification. What's your name? My name is Chun Jilin. The man shouted. Very good, Chun Jilin. From today onwards, you are my Su Yun's brother. Su Yun laughed. He had originally thought that facing an enemy like the immortal court, there wouldn't be many people as hot-blooded as Chun Jilin who would stand up and speak. However, he was wrong. Chun Jilin seemed to have started the conversation. Not long after his conversation with Su Yun ended, a second person stood up. Following that, a third person, a fourth person, a fifth person, most of them were people who had been persecuted by the immortal court, became homeless, and became scattered immortals. After that, they were accepted by the great Ling Long Palace. Wei Ming followed Su Yun's instructions and settled these newly recruited disciples well, providing them with a good cultivation environment. All of the treatment was no different from the old disciples, which made them very grateful to the great Ling Long Palace. Under the lead of a group of people, the originally quiet scene immediately boiled over. More and more people stood up and shouted, and more people raised their blades. From start to finish, not a single person left the place. Suyin knew that it was time to officially start a war with the Immortal Court. What's the situation at the Divine Eagle Mountain? Suyin turned his head and asked Hu Qianmei, who was beside him. There is still no news from Luluo. I have already sent 3 groups of people to the secret encampment. If Luluo brings people there should be news soon. Hu Qianmei said, We don't have much time left. The Immortal Court's army and the True Demon Realm's army are probably about to reach the Divine Eagle Mountain. The Immortal Court has suffered heavy losses. The interior must be empty. They are betting everything on one throw. No matter what, we have to rush forward at this time. Suyin said, Are we going straight to the headquarters of the Immortal Court? Hu Qianmei asked. Suyin focused his eyes. In this operation, the Immortal Court's chief has probably already attacked, because with just the Sword God smile, he is definitely not a match for the Divine Eagle Lord. Only if he personally takes action would it be possible to completely flatten the Divine Eagle Mountain. And the reason why the Immortal Court dares to do this is because they feel that even if they leave, we will not dare to do anything to the Immortal Court. They think that I don't dare to go, so I insist on going. With that, Suyin immediately pulled out his sword and shouted, Time's up. I don't have much time to wait for your answer. Now, those who are willing to follow me, follow me. Perhaps in your eyes, this is a path of no return, but in my opinion, this path is very long. With that, he leaped up and flew towards the horizon. Just as he made his move, the huge alliance army of the 5 great immortal sects also began to move. No one left, and no one hesitated. It was rare to fight a few times in life, not to mention that this time they were facing the highest authority of the Immortal Court. For a time, the army was like a torrential flood and started to rush in Su Yun's direction. Unceasingly, countless figures moved, countless of them. In front of the Divine Eagle Mountain, Lai Tianyu insisted on staying behind, allowing a portion of the Divine Eagle clan to guard the Eagle Mountain with him. The Eagle Clan Lord calculated for a moment. Currently, there were a total of 7,000 Eagle men guarding the Eagle Mountain, which made up a fifth of the entire Eagle Clan. Most of them were juniors, and if all of them were to die here, it would be an extremely heavy blow to the Divine Eagle Clan. Lord, I'm very happy that you're able to stay, but why did you send those Eagle men away? If all the Eagle men stay, our chances of winning will be higher. Lai Tianyu seemed to be dissatisfied with the Divine Eagle Clan Lord handing over the Eagle men to Su Luluo, and specially ran over to say it. However, the Divine Eagle Clan Lord looked at him strangely. Elder Lai Tianyu, since you have chosen to stay and guard the Eagle Mountain, why don't you quickly choose to set it up? The defense is already being arranged, but we do not have enough manpower. Lord, quickly call those Eagle men back. We still have time. Call them back. The Divine Eagle Clan Lord frowned. He stared at Lai Tianyu with a strange gaze and said, Elder Lai Tianyu, I do not think that you are an impulsive person. In the past, no matter what decision the Eagle Mountain made, you would always give an extremely far-sighted suggestion. Why are you so impulsive this time? This is not impulsive, Lord. Our Divine Eagle Clan has the ability to fight. We can't just give up like this. The situation is not something that can be said with words. Let's wait and see, the Divine Eagle Clan Lord said indifferently. Furthermore, they have already left. I do not know where they went. It is impossible for them to come back. Seeing that he could not persuade the Divine Eagle Clan Lord, Lai Tianyu lowered his head and thought for a while, then left without saying a word. Just like that, the remaining forces of the Divine Eagle Clan waited in the Eagle Mountain for about the time it takes for half an incense stick to burn. Then the Divine Eagle Clan members rushed in and shouted, Lord, Elder, not good. There is a situation. There are many demons. Many demons have appeared. What? Demons? The Divine Eagle Clan Lord frowned and immediately rushed out. At that moment, a large number of Eagle men had gathered outside the Eagle Mountain. The Divine Eagle Clan Lord looked around and realized that the barrier within the Eagle Mountain was not activated, and there were no Eagle men guarding the various formation points. It did not look like a defense at all. He lowered his head and thought for a while. then rushed towards the Eagle Men. Seeing the Clan Lord arrive, the Eagle Men were obviously excited. Clan Lord, many demons have appeared. They are approaching us. There are many of them. The demonic aura is dense. An Eagleman shouted loudly. Retreat immediately. The Divine Eagle Clan Lord only glanced at the demons and immediately shouted, Retreat? The surrounding Eaglemen were confused. They are just some demons, Clan Lord. Why should we be afraid of them? Do you still not understand? These demons are in cahoots with the Immortal Court. Behind them is the Immortal Court's army. And these demons are not simple. Quickly retreat with me. The Eagle Mountain will definitely not be able to withstand them. Go. Quickly go. The Clan Lord almost roared out. However, just as he finished speaking, a ray of light suddenly flashed behind him, and before the Eagle Men could realize what had happened, the space around the Divine Eagle Clan Lord distorted, and he fell into the distorted space. This lasted for a while. Then his entire body bounced out and fell not far away, spitting out a mouthful of blood, and the skin all over his body cracked. This scene shocked all the Eagle Men. They looked over, and it turned out that Lai Tianyu was actually standing behind the Divine Eagle Clan Lord. Father, what are you doing? Lai Ying, who was in the crowd, did not know what was going on and immediately rushed out and questioned anxiously. Don't go over. He is not Elder Lai Tianyu. The Divine Eagle Clan Lord shouted loudly. As expected, at this moment, Lai Tianyu's body suddenly became illusory, and in the blink of an eye, his entire body had turned into a cloud of smoke. Seeing this scene, everyone was dumbfounded, and Lai Ying was even more shocked, as if he was petrified. Then, who is he? Someone asked in shock. Him, if I am not wrong. He is the Immortal Court's chief judge. The Divine Eagle Clan Lord said in a low voice. Chapter 1356. Although you've discovered me, isn't it already too late? Lai Tianyu, who had turned into a ball of hazy mist, let out an illusory and strange voice. The mist transformed again, turning into a ball of colorful shadow. Looking at the shadow, all the Eagle Men were dumbfounded. What was going on? To be able to execute such a brilliant disguise technique that even I didn't notice in the entire celestial world, other than the chief judge of the celestial court, there's no one else. Clan leader Shun Ying said in a deep voice. It's precisely because you'll notice others. That's why I've come personally. I believe you'll never imagine that I'll personally kill Lai Ying, impersonate him, and sneak into the Divine Eagle Clan. The figure spoke again. Originally, I came here to get rid of you in advance, but I didn't expect you to actually want to evacuate the clan. This is really out of my expectations, but this also allows me to know where the true Devil Realm Devil Dwellers are hiding in the celestial world. I believe I'll be able to get the answer once I go to the Immortal Seeking Sect, right? I really didn't expect that the chief of the Celestial Court would actually use such a method. This is really unexpected. Clan leader Shun Ying said in a deep voice. The surrounding people were already completely dumbfounded. Chief Judge of the Celestial Court? He actually appeared here? Lai Ying heard the conversation between the two and was already shocked, only regaining his senses after a long time. He stared at the figure, stunned, then walked towards that person. What did you just say? You killed my father? My father is dead? His eyes were wide open. The whites of his eyes were bloodshot, and his lips were trembling. The silhouette turned its head to look at Lai Ying. It did not say anything, but slowly raised its hand. Back off. All of you back off. Clan leader Shun Ying shouted anxiously, leaping up and rushing towards the chief judge. Everyone hurriedly retreated, but Lai Ying's eyes were bloodshot. Not only did he not leave, but he also rushed towards the figure. You killed my father. I want to avenge my father. He roared angrily. His eyes were already bloodshot. This sudden turn of events had almost made him lose his mind. Cool. Just as he neared the figure, his body immediately crumbled, and in the blink of an eye, with a PU sound, his body turned into ashes and vanished into thin air. Even his soul could not be seen. Lai Ying died tragically. From start to finish, it was only the power of a single hand from the other party. Seeing this scene, all of the Eagle Men were dumbfounded and the divine eagle tribe leader saw it all. Lai Tianyu was killed, and now Lai Tianyu's only son was killed as well. This scene caused the rage in his heart to boil to the peak. However, he did not recklessly fight against the light figure. Although the clan leader of the Divine Eagle clan was powerful and it was hard to find a match for him in the Immortal Court, he knew that there was still a difference in strength between him and the chief judge. Moreover, the true demon world was involved today. There were many experts in the Immortal Court and true demon world. He was alone. How could he be a match for them? Immediately, he transformed back into his original form. A giant and majestic eagle appeared on top of Eagle Mountain. He flapped his giant wings, and a strong gust of wind was created. The true demon realm people who were rushing over immediately found it hard to move forward. The gust of wind blew away all the clouds around Eagle Mountain. It was extremely terrifying. However, the Immortal Court judge ignored the gust of wind and continued to charge towards Eagle Mountain at an astonishing speed. His figure swept past, and a bright light appeared. The terrifying light caused the surrounding void to ripple. The destructive power was like a hand that was slapping everywhere. Wind Shelter Pearl, the divine eagle tribe leader roared. Bang! The bright light hit his body, and his huge body flew backwards with a rumbling sound. The Immortal Court judge stopped and looked at the divine eagle tribe leader indifferently. That's right, it is the Wind Shelter Pearl. Actually, the operation against the divine Eagle Mountain had already started 100 years ago. If I did not prepare, how would I dare to touch the divine eagle tribe? Tribe leader. The eagle men were completely scared silly. They wanted to leave, but could not. Retreat. Everyone retreat. Don't stay. Leave quickly. I will stop them for you. The divine eagle tribe leader shouted loudly. But they still wanted to say something, but a gust of wind suddenly blew them into the sky. This gust of wind was caused by the divine eagle tribe leader. The eagle god race's people were blown away, but the chief judge didn't intend to let them go. He shouted, "Go and chase after the eagle god race's people. You must kill them all. Leave the eagle god race's leader to me. Today, not a single one of the divine eagle tribe will be left alive. Kill them all." His voice was filled with killing intent. It was like the angry roar of a death god. Although he did not sound ferocious, everyone who heard this voice was filled with fear. The demons did not dare to disobey the Immortal Court judge's orders and chased after the gust of wind. Now, let's have a good fight. In the entire immortal world, there are not many people worthy of me fighting. The one from the Divine Dragon tribe is one, and the other is you. The judge said in a low voice. Then, his figure flashed towards the huge divine eagle. The cry of the eagle reverberated through the sky. In the vast sky, two immortals flew out from the majestic Immortal Court. Hey, Immortal Friendly, why are you here? Aren't you cultivating in the 8-Cloud Cave? A man wearing a yellow robe and a yellow hat asked the immortal in front of him. Sai, isn't it the same as you, coming to the Immortal Court to pay tribute? The immortals in front of him sighed. Now, the Immortal Court pays tribute 5 times a month. This time, I was ordered by my sect to come here. It is really difficult. The sect can no longer take out any tributes. Everything that is valuable has been given. If the Immortal Court does not reduce the number of tributes, I'm afraid that before long, my sect will have to send people over. The immortal in the yellow robe said helplessly, if we don't send them, the Immortal Court will punish us again. I heard that a few sects refused to pay tribute to the Immortal Court. The Immortal Court sent people to flatten their sects, and all their resources were stolen. Although the Immortal Court did this secretly, some rumors still spread. Although no one has confirmed it, only the heavens know if it is true or false. It must be true. Recently, there have been many things like this. How can there be baseless rumors? Moreover, those sects really don't exist anymore. Who do you think destroyed them? It can't be like the Immortal Court said, that it was the demons, right? And recently, the Immortal Court has been convicting people everywhere. All the sects are in danger. We can't afford to offend the Immortal Court just for these few resources. But if the Immortal Court does this, we will be destroyed sooner or later. Isn't the result the same? Sai, you are right. It's just that the Immortal Court has been fighting everywhere recently and urgently needs resources. Their resources have been destroyed by the demons, and it is hard for them to feed their huge population. They can only rely on us. I heard that they even sent an army to the Divine Eagle Mountain recently, saying that the Divine Eagle race is openly rebelling against the Immortal Court and wants to exterminate the Divine Eagle race. This time, the Immortal Court sent many people, and they need a lot of resources. Hence, they increased the number of tributes to support this war. Fight the Divine Eagle race? How can we do that? The Divine Eagle race is not a pushover. If the Immortal Court wants to take down the Divine Eagle race, unless they have absolute power, they will suffer great losses. Does the Immortal Court have many times the power of the Divine Eagle race? Who knows? Let's just take care of ourselves. If one day our sects can't take out the tributes, let's leave as soon as possible. Otherwise, if the Immortal Court blames us, we will suffer too. Yes. We have to take it easy too. The two chatted as they flew forward. But as they flew, a thick celestial chi shocked them. Then there was the sound of a bugle horn. Both of them were shocked, and they looked forward in unison. They saw a slender black line appear in the distant horizon, and when they looked carefully, they noticed that this fine line was actually formed by numerous human figures. They formed a straight line and quickly rushed over. Among them, celestial chi, demonic chi, and nether chi, three kinds of celestial chi, black, white, and gray, formed a unique color that covered the sky. The two were petrified as they looked at this scene. More and more figures appeared, and the aura became thicker and thicker. The army that covered the sky was like a flood that was surging over. Vaguely, they finally felt a different kind of aura among the three auras. Killing aura. It's killing aura. Run. The two of them finally reacted and immediately ran towards the back. These existences were like a gushing stream, crazily rushing over. In the blink of an eye, they filled the entire space and rushed towards the Immortal Court. How spectacular was the scene! Woo! The melodious horn immediately sounded throughout the entire Immortal Court. This was the alarm of the Immortal Court. For many years, this sound had never sounded in the Immortal Court. Even when Su Yun used the Eternal Yang God Arrow to sneak attack the Immortal Court, it did not sound. But this time was different. This time, Su Yun was attacking the Immortal Court head-on. It was Su Yun's attack on the highest authority of the immortal world. Just as Su Yun's army was about to approach the Immortal Court, the surroundings of the Immortal Court immediately erupted with multicolored light, and many enchantments were quickly erected. There were over 1,000 of them. However, just as the enchantment was activated, the army on this side spat out a round of terrifying immortal techniques. A large number of immortal techniques seemed to brush against each other as they smashed towards the enchantment like raindrops. Before the army could even get close, the enchantment was shattered by a large number of spells, and dozens of enchantments were destroyed every second. Seeing that, Su Yun and the rest's aura was boosted. Attack the Immortal Court. Anyone who resists, kill without mercy. Su Yun pulled out his sword and took the lead, roaring angrily. Qin Qianlong and the rest followed closely behind. Just as Su Yun was officially attacking the Immortal Court at the True Devil Realm, the Nether Demon allied forces led by the Nether Empress also officially attacked the Immortal Realm Gate. The Immortal World Immortal Court was in an emergency. Chapter 1357. At this moment, the Immortal Court was already in chaos. The higher-ups of the Immortal Court, with the army as the core, were already in a mess. Firemist's sword Immortal hurriedly ran downstairs. At this moment, all the people of the Immortal Court were rushing towards the gate of the Immortal Court. This alarm was the highest alarm in the Immortal Court. In other words, the Immortal Court was now under the most serious threat that could lead to its destruction. Only the royal envoys of the Immortal Court had this kind of authority. Even the ministers of the various departments could not meddle in this. Firemist's sword Immortal was still confused. When he saw Shou Gu rushing outside, he immediately stopped him and asked anxiously, "Shou Gu, what happened?" "They're attacking. The demons are attacking." Shogu hurriedly shouted, "Hurry up and follow me to defend against the enemy. The demons are attacking." Fire Mist Sword Immortal was extremely shocked. Did the demons eat the heart of a leopard? They actually dared to attack the Immortal Court. They must have known that Lord Sword God and the Immortal Court personally went to the Divine Eagle Mountain. So they took advantage of the fact that the Immortal Court is empty to launch a large-scale attack. Do they really think that the Immortal Court is empty? With the royal envoys here, they won't be able to succeed so easily. Fire Mist Sword Immortal said, "It's different this time." Shogu opened his eyes wide and said, "This time, it's not just the demons who attacked the Immortal Court. There are also the Dark Ones. Immortals." Immortals? Fire Mist Sword Immortal seemed to have heard something shocking and simply could not believe it. They're all the immortals of the immortal sects that were destroyed by the Immortal Court. They have all joined the Great Ling Long Palace. According to the scouts, among the immortals attacking this time, there are people from the Great Ling Long Palace, the Immortal Seeking Sect, the Eight Harmonies School, the Carefree Palace, and the Hidden Dragon Hall. These people seem to have already reached an agreement with the Dark Demons to attack us together. There are millions of enemies, and it's extremely frightening. Given the current state of the Immortal Court, how can we resist? Hurry up and follow me to the front to take a look. If the Immortal Court can't defeat them, find a way to retreat, so as not to lose your life. As Shogu spoke, he grabbed the Fire Mist Sword Immortal's hand and ran outside. The two of them galloped all the way and soon arrived at the gate of the Immortal Court. At this moment, there were 12 people in golden robes standing at the gate. These 12 people were the ones who had gone to the Carefree Palace to question Xingbai. They were like golden statues, staring ahead without moving. Behind them were countless experts of the Immortal Court. Countless people of the Immortal Court had gathered in all directions. The situation was getting more and more serious. People squeezed behind the barrier of the Immortal Sect and looked into the distance. No one was relaxed. Waves of battle cries sounded out from afar, and their voices shook the heavens. Evil energy swept over like a flood, and the terrifying immortal techniques were even more dense and seemingly endless. The barrier around the Immortal Lyceum was like a huge wave, shaking nonstop. Who were these people? Who was leading them? The people of the Immortal Court didn't know, but they knew that the devil among them was the devil that had been hiding in the immortal world. Today, they had finally revealed their true colors. The barrier of the Immortal Court was about to collapse, but the people of the Immortal Court were almost gathered. The Immortal Sect was also densely packed with figures, which was especially terrifying. Very quickly, the Immortal Court gave the order to attack, and at the same time, the two huge statues at the gate of the Immortal Court also came to life. The two statues raised the swords in their hands, and the sharp swords were aimed at the crowd, emitting light. Immediately after, a terrifying laser beam burst out from the sword tip, smashing into the crowd. The immortals who were touched by the laser beam immediately turned into ashes and died tragically. This was simply an instant kill. The laser beam followed the gentle movement of the statue's arm and began to move. More and more immortals died. However, war was cruel. Since they had rushed here, everyone had to be prepared. Suyin leaped up and flew straight into the sky. His pitch-black figure was reflected in the eyes of every person of the Immortal Court. He pulled out the double moon sword from the sword sheath behind him, and the double moon sword shot out like lightning. Qing Yu, can you use the divine sword? At a time like this, what are you still worried about? Ling Qing Yu's voice came out. Hearing that, Suyin did not hesitate anymore. He activated the limitless sword arts, and with a rustling sound, countless divine swords shot out from the sword sheath, and like iron dragons, they rushed towards the two statues at the gate of the Immortal Court. Limitless sword arts? Cries of alarm sounded out from the Immortal Court. Back then, your Immortal Court harmed my master ancestor in order to seize the sword arts, and now you have become even worse, tormenting living beings and destroying all the realms in the world. Today I, Su Yun, will personally destroy this rotten regime of the Immortal Court, He roared angrily, his eyes immediately turning blood red. Devil chi overflowed, dyeing the sky black. The flying swords were also corroded by the devil chi, like dead swords flying everywhere. The statue was sliced into pieces, the sharp sword smashed into the enchantment. The speed at which the enchantment was shattering was more than twice as fast as before. In the blink of an eye, there were less than 100 enchantments left. The people of the immortal court were panting. Some of them had already started to ask where the chief judge was. The matter of the chief judge going to the divine eagle race was a secret, so the lower-level immortals did not know about it. However, the higher-ups of the immortal court were too lazy to explain. They only had one thought in mind, and that was to block these attacking enemies. Immediately send someone to the divine eagle mountain. Let the chief judge return immediately. The rest of you, follow me to exterminate the sinners and uphold the laws of the immortal world. The old man among the 12 shouted loudly, his voice like a bell. Yes, the people replied, their voices coming out. Although it was also very loud, it was disorderly. The people on the immortal court side added up to only 1 million people, while the other side had millions of people, and the majority of the people on the immortal court side were the lower-level immortals. The true elites had already been transferred away, and these enemies had come so suddenly. They did not have any confidence at all. Looking at the people rushing over like a flood, looking at the enemies' cold, angry, manic, or disgusted faces, the people of the immortal court standing in the front row were already trembling. From start to finish, what they felt from the other party was not only killing intent, but also uncontrollable resentment. Yes, those who dared to rush here, with Su Yun, all hated the immortal court, and were angry at the immortal court. Even the devil cultivator was the same. They did not hate the immortal world. They hated the source of all disasters and destruction. Start attacking immediately. The old man among the 12 spoke again, and the other 11 of the 12 had already flown over. The people on the immortal court side had already started to release their techniques. All sorts of gorgeous ways of immortal techniques had already begun to attack the invading army. Master, it's the 12 royal envoys. That old man is the royal envoys of the 12 royal envoys. The immortal court has lost many soldiers in the previous battles, and there are not many experts left in the immortal court. The chief judge and the sword god have both gone to the divine eagle mountain, and the command of the immortal court will definitely be grasped by the 12 royal envoys. If we kill them, the immortal court will have no leader and will definitely be in chaos. Qin Qianlong shouted loudly. Then kill them. Su Yun raised his head. His pale face under the cloak looked extremely sinister. With a cold tone, he had already rushed over. Qin Qianlong, Xiang Yang, Xing Bai, Kai Tan, Wei Ming, and Faceless also rushed over, and the experts of the underworld demon immediately followed to support them. Just as the 11 royal envoys rushed out of the enchantment, they were stopped by Qin Qianlong, and the top experts of both sides immediately began an intense battle. Su Yun raised the dual moon sword and approached the enchantment. With a slash, the last few enchantments were directly shattered by him. Peak spirit, god, realm strength. No, this was not enough. The skin on his entire body turned red. The temperature around his body rose. The blood in his body boiled. The devil blood had already ignited. His potential was stimulated, and his strength increased once again. At that moment, he had already surpassed the peak of the spirit god realm. The old man's pupils slightly dilated as he looked at the incoming person. He knew that the black-cloaked man's target was him. Are you the leader of these thieves? The old man was not flustered at all. He raised his hand to block, and the seemingly rotten hand released a circle of golden light, blocking the incoming dual moon sword. With a clang sound, it was even harder than steel. However, his strength was clearly lower than Su Yun's. When the two sides clashed, Su Yun suddenly used his strength, causing the old man to suddenly realize that he could not resist this person. He retreated a few steps, and even the immortal chi around his body was forced back. Following that, countless flying swords attacked him, bringing with them a terrifying devil chi, instantly wrapping him up into a cocoon. Countless sharp blades started to cut at the old man. The defensive magic treasure on his body automatically activated, but it was cut open by the sharp blades, causing him to be in a precarious situation. Immortal Hong method. The old man finally did not dare to be careless. He activated his technique and began to struggle. The devil chi that wrapped around him began to tremble, but before he could struggle out of the devil chi, a sharp sword pierced towards his heart. The old man's eyes turned cold as he hurriedly extended his hand to grab the sword that was piercing towards him. Bada! The old man's expression tensed up. The hand that was holding onto the dual moon sword was trembling nonstop, but his strength was not as strong as Su Yun's. The sharp blade had already cut through his palm and was slowly moving forward, slowly moving towards his heart. The two sides had only exchanged a few blows, and the number one person in the 12 royal envoys was already forced into such a predicament. This person was too strong. No, if this continued, he would definitely lose. The old man's eyes suddenly turned cold. His other hand started to release surging immortal chi. His 5 fingers quickly moved. A venomous snake pattern appeared on his palm, and with the help of his arm, he fiercely slapped towards Su Yun's chest. This palm strike was exquisite beyond compare. The entire space and time seemed to have become exquisite. The dense immortal chi in his palm had already turned into a terrifying divine power the moment he waved it out. If this palm hit, no one would dare to predict the consequences. Just that, Su Yun released the dual moon sword in time and pushed his body backwards. He was forced to retreat. The old man was overjoyed. In the end, this guy still doesn't dare to fight me head-on, he thought to himself. But at this critical moment, the dual moon sword that he was holding suddenly let out a chi sound, directly passing through his palm, the sword tip fiercely stabbing into his heart. The old man retreated a few steps. He looked over, only to see Su Yun, who was retreating, forming a seal with one hand. The immortal chi that leaked out from his fingers like a flood, it continuously poured into the dual moon sword. Chapter 1358. The old man's vital point was hit by the sword, and the strength in his body immediately dissipated. However, an injury to the heart was not fatal to an immortal. It would only make it difficult for him to concentrate his strength and thoughts, but did not affect the immortal chi. If the old man was given the time to catch his breath, he could use the immortal chi to temporarily seal the injured part of his heart. In this way, he could continue fighting as if nothing had happened. However, Su Yun would not give him the time to catch his breath, not even half a second. The moment the old man's heart was pierced, he rushed over again, and at this moment his speed had increased by a lot compared to before. The old man hurriedly waved his palms, preparing to activate the technique. However, just as Su Yun approached, a thick and huge lightning suddenly streaked across the sky and then smashed onto Su Yun's body. Then, a boundless light burst out from his body, and the sky instantly darkened. An invisible pressure suddenly pressed down on the old man's body, causing him to be unable to breathe. What was going on? This pressure. What was going on? He raised his head and looked forward, only to see that a large mass of fog had appeared in front of him, and within the fog, a huge and terrifying beast could be vaguely seen. The huge beast's bell-like eyes were staring at him, causing his hair to stand on end. The huge beast was getting closer and closer, and the pressure was getting stronger and stronger. Finally, the old man saw the terrifying beast in the fog clearly. "Tao Tai," he muttered. "Ayo!" The Tao Tai let out a huge roar, and its bloody mouth was like a black hole, directly swallowing the old man. The old man immediately disappeared, and it was unknown whether he was dead or alive. When the people of the immortal court saw such a terrifying scene, they were all frightened to the point that their souls trembled and their guts were torn apart. After the huge beast ate the old man, it seemed to be unsatisfied. It turned its huge head and looked at the people of the immortal court. Those people of the immortal court were completely frightened, and they hurriedly retreated, but in such a chaotic situation, where could they retreat to? The head came over, and the bottomless mouth once again covered the crowd. With a roar, the crowd in this area was directly swallowed, and a vacuum immediately appeared in the crowd. "Tao Tai," It's Tao Tai. Tao Tai. Why would an ancient, ferocious beast appear here? Even the royal envoy was eaten by it. What should we do? What should we do? The Tao Tai had appeared, and the old man had been eaten. The people of the immortal court were like a group of dragons without a leader. More and more allied forces surged in. They began to destroy the buildings of the immortal court and scrupulously, slaughtering the people of the immortal court, trampling all the people who were high and mighty in the past under their feet. The 12 sovereign envoys of the immortal court could be considered as experts of the immortal court, but under such circumstances, they still put themselves in an insufferably arrogant and high position. As a result, they had underestimated the strength of those who dared to challenge the immortal court. Retreat. When the sovereign envoy, who was still in a stalemate with Qin Qianlong and the others, saw that the old man had been swallowed and the situation was in chaos, he immediately retreated to get rid of the entanglement. Everyone retreat into the buildings and activate the defensive measures. Hurry! Hurry! A middle-aged sovereign emissary shouted and flew towards the majestic building of the immortal court. The people of the immortal court were like ants, anxiously rushing into the gigantic building. Su Yun's men chased after them crazily, and even tried to snatch the gate of the gigantic building. However, these royal envoys had a tacit understanding and gathered at the gate, directly guarding it. Seeing that, Qin Qianlong immediately rushed towards the gate with Xingbai and the others. But at this moment, on the vast barrier in the center of the huge building, a huge multicolored dragon seal appeared. The dragon seal flickered, and a halo of light circulated. It was very magical, but no one knew what use the dragon seal had. The immortals of the Alliance were a little timid and did not dare to go forward. They were not sure what kind of spell this was, but the devil cultivator did not. They continued to move forward without hesitation, but when a devil cultivator approached the building, a vigorous dragon claw suddenly extended out from the stone wall of the building, directly tearing the devil cultivator apart. As the other devil cultivator approached, more and more dragon claws appeared. No matter how many devil cultivator approached, they would be torn apart by the countless dragon claws, unable to get close at all. Wei Ming's eyes flickered with a golden light as he looked towards the building. A moment later, he shouted, "Master, there's a dragon soul sealed inside the wall of the building. This dragon soul has been modified by them into a defensive system. If we get close, we will be attacked by the dragon's soul. It's just a dragon. Why make a fuss? Just shatter it." Xingbai flew over and said indifferently, "If it was an ordinary dragon, I wouldn't be afraid, but since it was used by the immortal court to refine a defensive system, then this dragon soul must be the dragon soul of the divine dragon race." Qin Qianlong said solemnly, "The soul of the divine dragon race?" Hearing that, Xingbai was shocked. If the divine dragon race finds out, wouldn't that be, how can it be so easy to find out? Only this kind of calamity would cause the immortal court to activate this barrier. If the immortal court was destroyed, the people of the divine dragon race would not be able to pursue the matter. And if they were not destroyed, the immortal court would destroy this barrier on its own. At that time, even if they did not admit it, the divine dragon race would not be able to do anything to the immortal court. Wei Ming said, "So despicable. This can't be considered despicable. It can only be said to be a method. Look, the Lord is going over." At this moment, Xingbai called out. Su Yun, who had transformed into a Tao Tai, drove his gigantic body and rushed towards the gigantic wall of the building. A terrifying barbaric force surged from the Tao Ye's body, and when its body touched the wall, the barbaric force exploded out, causing the wall to tremble nonstop, as if the entire building could collapse at any time. A large number of dragon claws extended out from the wall, but they were all held back by Su Yun's gigantic body. Seeing that, Qin Qianlong and the rest immediately understood Su Yun's intentions and immediately launched a fierce attack towards the door. Not only that, the surrounding doors were also sealed by the immortal court. At this moment, the people of the immortal court were like snakes that had entered a hole, defending the wall with their lives. From the looks of it, they were obviously trying to stall for time and wait for the great immortal court and the sword god to return. Suyin also understood this point. The reason why he dared to launch this battle was because the two truly powerful people of the Immortal Court were not here. This was an opportunity, a rare opportunity for him. Once he missed it, there would never be a second time. The Tao Tai was roaring, its brute force exploding, and its mouth was even bigger, as if it wanted to swallow itself. The pitch-black bottomless hole moved towards the wall. From the looks of it, it wanted to eat the Immortal Court's last line of defense. The dragon soul's claws extended out again, but were crushed by the Tao Ye's bite. It was still not satisfied, and once again bit towards a thick wall. The wall that was enveloped by countless enchantments was like a piece of flatbread, and was torn apart by the Tao Tai. The people of the Immortal Court could clearly be seen at the torn wall. They crowded in the inner passageway, pressed their hands on the wall, and injected their qi into it, as if they wanted to maintain the strength of the enchantment. But facing Su Yun's heavenly methods, they realized that they were powerless. Su Yun continued to bite the walls of the courtyard. This super defense that was enough to block thousands of soldiers and horses was completely useless in front of the Tao Tai's bloody mouth. Very quickly, the entire wall was completely destroyed, revealing the scene inside, and all the people of the Immortal Court who were hiding inside were exposed to the air. Seeing that, the Underworld Demon Alliance army immediately rushed over and began a crazy slaughter. We can't beat them. We can't beat them at all. Looking at the enemies that covered the sky, the people of the Immortal Court were completely terrified. All of their bodies were trembling nonstop. They had completely lost their fighting spirit. There was no way for them to retaliate. Victory and defeat had been decided. Without a strong leader, even if the strength of the people of the Immortal Court was not weaker than Su Yun's side, they would not be able to fight back. When the 11 royal envoys saw that the building was unable to defend against the attacks of these people, their faces all changed. They did not dare to hesitate and immediately rushed towards the top of the building. Su Yun transformed into his human form and looked towards the direction where the royal envoys were escaping to. He immediately understood their intentions and followed them. At the top of the building was the cultivation place of the Immortal Court's chief judge. There must be something extremely important there that they needed to protect. Su Yun transformed into a ray of light and chased after them. Seeing that, Qin Xianlong and the rest immediately went forward to help. At the top of the building was an incomparably large pentagonal jade platform. The main building of the Immortal Court was the most majestic and largest building in the immortal world, and the top gave people the feeling of being in the sky beyond the heavens. The 11 royal envoys flew onto the jade platform and quickly walked towards a gigantic golden throne in the center of the jade platform. There were a total of 108,000 jade bricks on the jade platform, and on each jade brick, there was actually a small array formation carved on it. When Su Yun appeared on the jade platform, the 108,000 attack arrays were immediately activated, and a large amount of terrifying destructive aura locked onto Su Yun in a split second, and, after a breath of time, it directly struck towards him. Those were all the most powerful and astonishing immortal techniques. Every single array formation here was only the size of a palm, but the destructive power they created was enough to instantly kill all existences below the Spirit Profound God, and was enough to severely injure those below the peak Spirit Profound God. Before the 11 royal envoys entered the jade platform, they had already noticed Su Yun following them, but they did not stop him because they were not afraid. Qin Xianlong and the rest also rushed over. When they saw the extremely terrifying tens of thousands of array formations being activated, they were all shocked to the point of retreating 100 miles away, not daring to get close. Not good. Master has fallen into a trap. They deliberately lured Master over. Qin Xianlong was anxious. What should we do? With such a terrifying destructive power, even if it's us, I'm afraid that if we don't die, we will at least be severely injured. Xingbai and Wei Ming frowned as they looked inside worriedly. However, amidst the endless turmoil and destruction, a figure walked out leisurely. His entire body was filled with divine power. Chapter 1359. This is impossible. The royal envoys looked at the figure walking leisurely in the midst of the destruction. All of them were dumbfounded, their faces full of disbelief. His body formed a vacuum zone. No matter how terrifying the chi around him was, when it neared his body, it would be perfectly absorbed. He was practically immune to all these attacks. If even such a powerful immortal technique could not hurt him, then what other power could hurt him? That's a divine object on him. It's a divine power that absorbs immortal chi. Finally, someone noticed the effect of the pitch-black cloak on Su Yun's body and immediately shouted. With that said, everyone's heart instantly turned cold. A divine object that could absorb immortal chi. That meant, other than divine power, no other methods could do anything to this person. Seeing Su Yun approaching step by step, the 11 of them could not help but retreat. The barrier attacks on the Jade platform gradually stopped. Qin Qianlong and the rest saw that Su Yun was safe and sound. They were all shocked, but they knew that time was of the essence and immediately rushed over. Qin Qianlong, Xiang Yang, Xing Bai, Wei Ming, Kai Tian, Faceless, were all present. They surrounded the immortal court royal envoys, blocking their path of retreat. Surrender! You have no chance of winning. Your president and sword god, Yi Shao, have probably just received the news. It is impossible for them to return so quickly. By the time they return, this place will already be razed to the ground. Su Yun directly spoke to the royal envoys. All the experts had serious expressions. They stared at the royal envoys vigilantly. The royal envoys looked at each other, but no one answered Su Yun. Su Yun frowned. He was about to make a move, but at this time, one of the royal envoys spoke. Wait, you are willing to surrender? Surrender? No, we will not surrender. And we have to surrender. Then there is nothing more to say. Su Yun said coldly. Kill them all. Do not leave any future troubles. Yes. Qin Qianlong, Wei Ming, and the rest responded, and then rushed towards them. Originally, I wanted to persuade you to leave as soon as possible, but you are too arrogant. This kind of person who does not know the immensity of heaven and earth. It is better to get rid of him as soon as possible. With that said, the 11 royal envoys' expressions suddenly became sinister. Seeing that, Su Yun frowned. However, the bodies of these royal ambassadors suddenly emitted a large amount of golden light. Then they held hands, closed their eyes, and sang loudly. It was a song that praised the immortal court. Every word was filled with their endless reverence and faith towards the immortal court. Every single one of these envoys was completely loyal to the immortal court. They were the most devout and fanatical believers. They would never allow anyone to offend the immortal court. Bastard, do you still not understand the current situation? Xing Bai rushed over and slapped one of the royal envoys on the head. His brute strength was astonishing, and his palm was filled with destructive power. However, when it landed on the Kingmaker's head, it was like he had struck steel. Other than a muffled sound, there was nothing else. Furthermore, the Kingmaker's head wasn't damaged in the slightest. How is this possible? Xing Bai was dumbfounded. These guys' bodies have suddenly become extremely hard. I'm afraid ordinary spells won't be able to break through their bodies. At least not in a short period of time. Let's go. Su Yun sensed something. He suddenly turned and roared at Qin Qianlong and the rest. Everyone did not know what had happened, but seeing Su Yun's anxious expression, they immediately turned and ran outside. The light that leaked out from the bodies of the royal envoys was no longer just a dazzling light. Not long after, streams of mournful destructive power filled the entire Jade platform. This was a move to destroy Jade and Stone together. Everyone understood that the royal envoys knew that they could not defeat Su Yun, nor could they persevere until the chief judge and the sword god arrived. Since things had come to this, they could only prepare to sacrifice themselves at any time. Their obsession and faith in the immortal court made them choose to perish together with Su Yun. When the technique was activated, the entire Jade platform seemed to be wrapped in streams of divine power. The people below looked at this scene strangely. They were all extremely curious. It was as if a god had descended onto the Jade platform. It was extremely magical. Su Yun, Qin Xianlong, and the rest left the Jade platform. But the energy undulations produced by the Jade platform did not seem to have any signs of stopping. It became stronger and stronger, more and more astonishing, and this energy completely exceeded Su Yun's expectations. Su Yun stopped, turned his head to look at the shocking and terrifying royal envoy, his face extremely ugly. "Master, hurry up and leave. They look like they're going to self-destruct." Xingbai shouted. "No, we can't leave yet." Su Yun looked at the allied army around Tingjian and said in a deep voice, "The self-destruction of these royal envoys is enough to completely raze the immortal court to the ground. But the people around the immortal court, I'm afraid none of them will be able to escape." "But master, even if that's the case, what can we do? These people are simply insane. Even if our people can't escape, I'm afraid their people can't avoid it either." Wei Ming and the rest had anxious expressions on their faces. "Don't panic. Quickly take your people and evacuate. I'll think of a way here." Su Yun bellowed. He turned and rushed towards the 11 people. "Master! Master!" everyone shouted. However, they were unable to stop Su Yun's actions. Very quickly, he returned to the Jade platform. They had no other choice. If they went now, they would only be throwing their lives away. "Master Wei Ming, what should we do now?" Everyone's gaze was focused on the wise Wei Ming. "What else can we do?" "Follow the Lord's orders and quickly evacuate." "It's hard to understand. So we don't care about the Lord?" "Care? How? We can't stop these royal envoys from dying together, nor can we persuade the Lord. The only thing we can do now is to do as the Lord says and quickly leave with our people. If the royal envoys really self-destruct, then all of the Lord's savings will be buried here." Wei Ming's expression was agitated. Everyone was at their wits' end. Since things had come to this, they had to follow Su Yun's instructions and rush down to order the allied army to retreat. There were a lot of people in the immortal court, but they did not have much fighting strength. If the battle continued like this, the immortal court would definitely lose. But at this critical juncture, the people in charge of the various immortal sects had given the order to retreat, which was truly hard to understand. Many people did not even want to retreat because they were too unwilling. However, not long after, the terrifying destructive power that came down from the Jade platform shocked everyone. Even the people of the immortal court were shocked by the terrifying destructive aura that surged over like a flood. How strong was this destructive aura? Even just feeling it was enough to make people lose their courage. It was as if they had been thrown into the apocalypse in an instant. The people on both sides couldn't help but stop fighting and retreat. Pairs of astonished eyes couldn't help but look at the Jade platform. What was happening there? Everyone was terrified, and under the command of Qin Xianlong and the others, the people of the allied army had already begun to retreat. What's going on? Why are the people of the underworld demon retreating? Fire Mist, Sword Immortal, and the others who were commanding the battle on behalf of the royal envoy were all astonished and confused when they saw the enemy retreating to the surroundings. "That's the president's cultivation ground. We can't casually enter." However, during the battle earlier, the royal envoy seemed to have been forced to the top by the enemy leader. I don't know if it was because they were fighting there, but it created such a terrifying aura. There must be an earth-shattering battle up there, the surrounding immortal court people said. If there's a war, then there's a war. Why are the enemies retreating? Haven't you used your brains to think about it? At this moment, Shogu, whose face was covered in dirt, walked over. He had been entangled by Xingbai just now, and had only managed to escape with great difficulty. "Lord Shogu, what are you trying to say? Could it be that the situation up there isn't what we think?" Fire Mist, Sword Immortal asked in shock. Shogu's expression was solemn, and he said in a deep voice, "I fought with Xingbai just now, but he abandoned me and rushed towards the Jade platform with those experts. They should know what happened on the Jade platform. Now that they're retreating, they must have encountered an irresolvable danger. I think it's better for us to retreat now. Otherwise, if we lose our lives, it won't be worth it. Hey, I won't say any more. Retreat first." As soon as he finished speaking, Shogu immediately turned around and ran, ignoring these people. Lord Shogu! Lord Shogu! Fire Mist Sword Immortal hurriedly shouted a few times, but Shogu completely ignored him and soon disappeared without a trace. Shogu's straightforward departure made the remaining people of the Immortal Court panic. What should we do? Lord Sword Immortal, what should we do now? The surrounding people of the Immortal Court all looked at Fire Mist Sword Immortal in unison. His eyes wavered, and his expression was unusually hesitant. However, things had already come to this, and he was powerless to reverse the situation. After thinking for a while, he roared, "Everyone, follow me and retreat from the back door. Don't get entangled with those people anymore. Everyone retreat. Hurry." Fire Mist Sword Immortal's voice immediately received the support of many people. They were all afraid of the unknown. Moreover, under such circumstances, they could no longer save the Immortal Court. It would be useless to continue staying here. Very soon, under Fire Mist Sword Immortal's lead, the people of the Immortal Court hurriedly retreated towards another part of the building. Coup! Just as the people had not completely retreated from the area of the building, a deafening roar resounded. A huge, ferocious beast appeared at the top of the building. It was Taodai. It opened its horrifying and exaggerated mouth and directly swallowed the jade platform. This scene was like a branding iron, deeply imprinting itself in everyone's heart. Just as the huge Taoia's mouth was about to swallow the jade platform, a dazzling divine light was emitted from the jade platform, and it shot towards the heavens and the earth. This divine light did not last for long and completely disappeared. This was because Taoia's mouth had already bitten down and completely covered the jade platform. Damn, the jade platform disappeared. You're tuning into the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.